Man, check this out.
You're an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being weird.
Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Get robbed.
Only
Good morning.
Wonderful. Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Real good. Corey LaJoy, real good. Thanks for asking. Ladies and gentlemen, just like I said they would be, never gave up hope, not for a minute. This is why they call me the Emperor of Optimism. Just like that, your Atlanta Braves are 500. I, the whole time, said, hey, don't panic. Don't freak out. Don't push the alarm.
Nope.
Don't do any of that. I said, hold tight, Braves fans. Just hang in there.
No way.
Because you know at some point in a fourth inning somewhere, rookie Drake Baldwin is gonna get a 2-run shot, and you're gonna look and go, just like that.
Winning.
This team's winning. Exactly, Charles. Thank you very much, Charles. Just like that, the Atlanta Braves are 500, 21-21, which, of course, you know, means you got the rest of the league right where you want it. You got them right where you want them. You know, you got a bunch of teams that have won, like, a lot more games than you, but you've won half of your games. You got them right where you want them, Snit. Right where you want them.
Let's go. We're going to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you. We hit like Nikola Jokic from the short corner.
That doesn't work for me, brother.
Didn't work for the Nuggets either. They lost. How you gonna get Jokic and Murray outscoring Oklahoma City in the third quarter by themselves and then still lose the basketball game? What are we doing, Denver? What are we doing, Denver? We're going to talk NBA playoffs today because we saw a series come to its conclusion last night to the chagrin of Ohioans everywhere. The Cleveland Cavaliers, despite being a 64-win team, despite being the number one seed in the Eastern Conference playoffs, see their season come to an end.
It's all right. They're almost there. They're almost there.
Just one more piece.
LeBron just needs to come back, and then they'll win.
How hilarious would it be if LeBron was like, I'm going to go play one more season in Cleveland?
I'm
I'm going to take Bronny with me.
But I mean, go home to end it all. Why not?
One more season in Seatown with my boy. Take my kid back to Seatown. Me and Bronny are going to go save it. Me, Bronny, and Spida.
No, you don't take Bronny with you. You leave Bronny in L.A. to pair up with Lucas, so then Cleveland can go up against L.A. in the finals, and then LeBron can beat his son before he leaves for the championship. I mean, that's more story there.
The first thing I wanted to do was play with my son. The second thing I wanted to do was beat him. I'd be down for that. A little drama
This
there.
is what you'll never be, Junior.
Let me show you how the real James does it. We're going to talk some NBA on the radio program today because we did have two series play last night. One came to its conclusion. Indiana puts away Cleveland 4-1.
Sirs.
The Sirs are moving on. And I got to tell you, as much as I despise that nickname with every fiber of my being, this team's fun.
Why did that guy not play in the Olympics? He looks pretty good.
Tyrese?
Yeah, look, he looks all right.
I saw somebody say this on Twitter last night, and it was kind of an interesting conversation that I'm excited. I'm going to ask Mario about this tomorrow, the biggest Sirs guy that we know. Somebody said yesterday that despite all of the great players that have been Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton is now Mr. Pacer. Tyrese Halliburton is now the Indiana Pacers. Like, he is the poster child of the franchise at large.
Reggie Miller? I mean, you talking about historically or just
Yeah,
now?
the guy. There were a couple
Really?
of,
'Cause-
and in fairness, they were Pacers guys, so they were probably caught up in the emotion of making it to the back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals.
I thought Reggie Miller was pretty good.
I don't disagree. Reggie Miller was very good. If you ask me one-on-one right now, who wins? Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah, that's
Tyrese
the
Halliburton.
old back and if he was in his prime and he was in his prime, probably, I don't know.
These are
I saw Reggie hit a three and then take the ball out of bounds and steal the ball and hit another three, and then I saw him put the choke sign on Spike Lee. So I saw all that.
he did put the choke sign on Spike Lee.
Although Tyrese, as he continues his wrestling journey, could probably actually put a choke on Spike Lee.
Or he could just do that in the next round because they're probably getting the Knicks. He may actually be able to recreate Reggie Miller's great moment of giving Spike Lee the sign. I'm pretty pumped about it. We're going to talk about the Pacers because everything I said the Boston Celtics were going to be, the Indiana Pacers are. Everything that I thought was going to allow the Beantown Celtics to grab themselves a back-to-backer as NBA champs. Now I'm like, maybe it's the Pacers, man. But they are going to have to get past, likely, not definitively, but likely, the New York Knickerbockers in order to get there. And this team's fun, too. Like, not as much fun. Jalen Brunson's fun. Watching the world watch Karl Anthony Towns is fun. But the Pacers right now have built something special, man. So we're going to talk about that later on in the show. Not breaking news. Big news from yesterday. It broke yesterday. Big news from yesterday. Major League Baseball has reinstated Pete Rose amongst others. So he is now, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, you turn that off right now. Absolutely not.
Why is it's just a choir. I don't know why that bothers you. It's just, I mean, they're pretty loud, but, you know.
Winning.
No. This is not to be celebrated. This is not to be celebrated. It's not. It's just not. It's not to be celebrated. We ought not celebrate. We ought not give credence to. We ought not open the game up to someone who very clearly and openly shattered one of its biggest rules.
Just let it go, bro.
No. Speak respectful of the dead, Rob. I'm not being disrespectful. He did what he did. He did what he did, knowing the repercussions, knowing the consequences. He did it anyway, and it's not even the whole thing about Pete Rose. It's the fact that now, if Pete Rose is enshrined in Major League Baseball's Hall of Fame, who can't you put in?
All right, this is much.
Who can't you put in?
This is much ado about nothing. I know we're going to talk about it later, but just because you're eligible doesn't mean you get voted in. And who of these stodgy, or in this case, on your side, because you don't want them to vote them in, none of these guys are going to vote any of these guys in. If someone's going to get in first out of the people who are banned, it'll be Shoeless Joe Jackson, because it's been so long ago. And it's not as fresh, it would be someone like that. But you're counting. There are some years where no one goes in, right? Or like one person.
Yeah, there are years where like a guy or two.
Yeah, so these guys are not going to vote these guys in. I mean, he knows what he's doing by doing this. You talk about floodgates. Where's the water coming from? Nobody's going to vote him in.
I hope that you are right. I really do. I hope that you are right. I hope that he does not get in. All right? I think Charlie Hustle was one of the greatest hitters of all time, one of the greatest base runners of all time, one of the greatest ball players of all time. To this day.
Not a very good gambler, though, I don't think.
Well, you know, never mind.
Did he win money? If you're going to get banned for life, which is no longer a ban for life, but if you're going to get banned while you're alive, I hope you're pretty good at it.
Yeah, I hope you made it worth it. That's kind of the take. I hope you made it worth it. So Pete Rose gets reinstated yesterday. It makes him eligible for inclusion into Major League Baseball's Hall of Fame. And I don't know if he's going to go in or not. I feel like, first and foremost, for the first time in my career, now I have to unban the very first topic that was ever banned from this show. I have banned very few topics from this show, but one of the show's topics that did catch the ban was Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame discussion. Caught the ban because I said for years and years and years and years and years, there is no point in having this discussion. There is no point in arguing, do you think Pete should be in? Do you think Pete should be out? And I said forever, it's like arguing, what color should I paint my Ferrari? It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, I'm never going to have a Ferrari. You can sit here and make argument after argument about why yellow is the best. No, Rob, red looks the fastest, but wait a minute, black is always going to look sleek.
All right, your argument fell flat when you put yellow in there. Who would go with, gold, maybe? You're going to go with yellow.
I'd go with
a pea yellow?
Like a canary. No, like a big bird yellow, like a canary yellow.
Okay.
If your pea looks like that, you should see a doctor immediately.
Well, you need to be hydrated, of course.
We can sit here and make all the arguments we want about what the best color to paint my Ferrari is going to be. But at the end of the day, it's a waste of breath, because I do not have, likely will never have, a Ferrari. And therefore, spending time discussing what color to paint it is a nice little hypothetical. It's kind of like discussing whether one man or one gorilla could beat 100 guys. Like, sure, it's fun. We could have some hypothetical. You can argue why your point's right. I can argue why my point is right. At the end of the day, it's irrelevant, because Pete's never getting in. And now Pete's in. Pete's in.
I'm looking. I'm going to make sure I'm very descriptive about this, but the lights in the studio keep flashing.
They do.
And it just, I'm trying to see if it coincides with each time that you're disparaging towards Pete Rose.
Bring it on, Ghost of Pete Rose.
I'm good because I'm a Buckeye. So, but you, I don't know.
What odds do you think Ghost of Pete Rose would take that he could scare me? What odds do you think he'd wager on?
It would have to be a complete manifestation where you couldn't scientifically explain it, and all the things that you know and believe would go out the window. That's what it would take. I would love to bear witness to that to a degree, but it would break you, and I don't want to see you broken.
For the record, the inability to explain something does not make that thing unexplainable. Just so we're clear. You're bringing out the nerd in me very early.
Yeah, I did that.
You absolutely did. I didn't. Okay, we did. We are having a Ghost of Pete Rose discussion. That's fair. Look, you let Pete Rose in after violating one of the most stringent and pushed rules in Major League Baseball. Cody Decker told me one day that from the minute you are drafted and enter your first Major League clubhouse, whether it's at the minor league level or you go straight up to the pros, from the minute that you make it onto an MLB ball club, regardless of the level you play at, it is drilled into your brain that gambling on baseball is a no-no. Deck not just told me the story of, but actually dug out a picture from his rookie year when he was with the Diamondbacks. Dug out a picture from the clubhouse that he went and found specifically for this purpose. And he said, look, and he showed me the picture of him as a rook in the clubhouse. And in the back, there is a "Do not gamble on baseball, dummy" poster in the background. So this guy violated a rule that, and he said the old hat said, this isn't like a new thing. This is something that was talked about in clubhouses in Pete Rose's day. This guy willingly, knowingly violated one of the most discussed, talked about, pushed, and enforced rules in all of baseball, and we are unbanning him. Why? Honestly, why?
I have an opinion, but you won't like it,
Fire away.
and you might swing at me. It's
You might be
because-
shocked.
because baseball is so uninteresting. They had to bring something about that's going to bring baseball back to the forefront. It should be in the forefront right now because it's one of 3 sports that are going on, and here in a couple of weeks it'll be the only sport that's going on. Now everyone's going to be talking about baseball.
I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but as of right now, so far, attendance and ratings are on pace to increase for the 3rd consecutive year for Major League Baseball.
According to what sources?
The Nielsen ratings, the gate numbers, which are easily accessible to go look up.
Gate numbers. That's all
Yeah.
you had to say. I don't care about the Nielsen thing. But gates that although, you can say you have a sellout and then you see a bunch of empty seats.
Baseball is fine. Baseball is fine.
Okay.
This
All
is
right. So you're saying baseball didn't need this attention?
correct. You want to know what I actually think?
You know what a lot of people are doing that they don't normally do? Talking about baseball.
They're talking about Pete Rose. I don't understand how this is kind of like the bananas. Like, I'm not against the bananas. I'm pro-banana, okay? I'm pro-bananas. However, it's not baseball, and that's okay. It's fun. It's its own thing, right? The Pete Rose discussion.
Definitely is baseball because it's not baseball adjacent. It absolutely has to do with baseball, and it's not just about Pete Rose, especially with Shoeless Joe Jackson being buried that way.
No, I was talking about the bananas, not the Pete Rose thing.
Okay.
However, I would ask the question to those of you that say, oh, it's a ploy for baseball to get more attention. How does talking about a dead outfielder from the 80s really push Major League Baseball right now? It just doesn't. Nobody's going to go, oh, Pete Rose got reinstated. Let me tune into the Yankees game tonight.
It
Right?
might.
It's not happening.
I think it's a blanket statement. You don't know that that's not so for sure.
I'd be willing to bet that if there is a number of people that say, Pete Rose died, now he's reinstated into baseball, let me tune into the Yankees game tonight, there's like 8 of them. I'd be comfortable saying that. You want my honest opinion of why this happened? Donald Trump. It's Donald Trump. It is the sway that Donald Trump has right now in the ability to move things, the needle, money, et cetera, et cetera. And he, a buddy of Pete Rose, has been lobbying for Pete Rose for a while now. The answer still should have been no. Bob Nightingale is, he talked about this a little bit yesterday. I got some sound from him as well as around the rest of the baseball world. We'll talk about this and more as the Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, good morning, everybody. Stay right there. Quick read, and we're coming right back. Don't go anywhere. reinstated posthumously, and that's exactly what happened. Now, we have heard a number of people weigh in on this. I really only have one reaction. I don't care all that much. I do not want Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, however. I don't care that he's been reinstated. I do not think he should be in the Hall of Fame. And there is one reason for that. And I am going to allow Bob Nightingale of USA Today, buddy of the show. He is a regular contributor on Bet for the Cycle. He has been on this show in the past. Bob Nightingale, it's a bit of a lengthy clip, but it's worth the listen, had the same take that I had. And then no, that's on me. I'm getting it handed to me today is what's happening. Let's try this again.
It's a ghost of Pete.
Bob Nightingale.
Pete Rose has been reinstated by Commissioner Rob Manfred, and all of a sudden he's now eligible to be in the Hall of Fame for the first time since he was suspended by baseball permanently in 1989. Well, permanently has been scrubbed now because he died last year, and Commissioner Rob Manfred said everybody deceased who's been banned before is now reinstated by Major League Baseball. Yes, this means everybody, 17 people involved in the 1919 Black Sox scandal when players deliberately threw games. Yes, this means that Shoeless Joe Jackson can be in the Hall of Fame, Eddie Chilcott can be in the Hall of Fame. So Pete Rose will be on the Hall of Fame ballot, the Veterans Committee ballot, in 2027. The fear now by this decision is that it opens the floodgates for everybody. For Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Alex Rodriguez, who had a year-long drug suspension, Manny Ramirez, on and on. It opens the door potentially for a whole lot of folks. If Rose gets in after violating the cardinal rule in sports by gambling on the sport, in this case, gambling while he was manager of the Cincinnati Reds, why in the world would it stop people from using steroids to get in, whether you're caught or not? So, historic day in baseball. The way you look at it, could be a very dark day in baseball too. This is Bob Nightingale from USA Today Sports.
So Bob Nightingale says if you let Pete Rose in, you effectively open the door for everybody to get in. And that includes people who took steroids. That includes people who had other gambling issues pop up.
Quick question, because I seriously don't know. The people who took steroids, have they been banned? Because I don't recall them being banned. They're not voting for them, but that doesn't. I don't recall. Barry Bonds is banned from baseball. That's not true, right?
That is a murky substance, a murky situation,
so to speak.
In that, fair. In that, the way it works is if you get a third steroid violation, you are banned from baseball. That is the way that the rule is written. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I do not know which players are and are not. What I do know is, and I am going to lean a little bit on, this might be the first time that I'm actually happy that the Baseball Hall of Fame, who gets in and who does not get in, is determined by a bunch of stodgy old baseball writers, as Lonzo called them. Stodgy. It's a good word. We should use it more.
I mean, how else would you describe them?
When
you think
not
stodgy,
unfair.
you think old. You don't even have to say old.
It's not. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's not unfair. It's probably the first time because I think that the stodgy old baseball writers, for all of the crap that they get about being old hats who will not keep up with the times, who do not understand that baseball changes, who are not willing to adapt with baseball, with the pop culture around baseball, with the players and the fans who love baseball. I am very much a believer in the philosophy that every game belongs to the next generation. The current generation is borrowing it from the next. And so this is why I've said people who, get upset that guys are, pimping home runs or whatever, that makes them real mad. Oh, the guys back in my day never would have done that. Well, we're not back in your day. It's not your day anymore. It's their day now. And I'm a big believer of that. But there are some things that I think have to last. There are some things that I think have to remain the way that they were. And baseball players of any sport, being required to follow a certain set of core rules and regulations in order to protect the integrity of the game is one of those things that we should always uphold. That should not be a generational change. If a guy one day shows up wearing his baseball cap backwards, like Ken Griffey Jr. did back in the day, then no, I don't think that the coach of a little league team should bench the starting pitcher because he took his batting practice and warm-ups with his hat on backwards. Dad? That shouldn't happen. He's dead. He can't hear me say that. That shouldn't happen.
Wow, dude.
It was my dad.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he can't hear me.
Come on.
So there are things that I think old hats just have to accept and get used to. The Major League Baseball culture is going to change every year, year after year, forever, because the kids who play it are going to change, just like the kids in every other field. But there is a difference between some sort of cultural change, playing the game, acting a certain way on the field, in the clubhouse, in the dugout, whatever, versus following, as Bob Nightingale called it just a minute ago. Where the hell did I get Bob Ross from? As Bob Nightingale called it just a minute ago, the cardinal rule of baseball. I have been told by multiple former Major League Baseball players, one of whom I work with, others that have joined us on the show via the one that I work with, that this is not anything that a baseball player at any level of professional ball can plead ignorance to. It is not something that they keep a secret. It is not something that they hide. It is not something that they don't beat you in the face with from the minute that you get drafted or signed until the minute you walk off the field for the last time.
It's also kind of hypocritical, isn't it? Because of how sports have embraced gambling now and all the sponsorships and things that are everywhere. Yeah, we're doing this as an entity, but you can't do it.
Right.
I mean, yeah, but still, that's
right.
That is like giving a junkie their drug of choice. It's just very hypocritical. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's hypocritical.
No, disagree entirely. The reality is here, if Rob Brown goes home tonight and he puts down a FanDuel lineup or a DraftKings lineup, and he takes Mookie Betts, Drake Baldwin, and Shohei Ohtani all to go over 1.5 bases, that has no impact on the integrity of the game of baseball.
I want to use a Rob Brown analogy, although it'd probably be better than a Rob Brown analogy. So let's say you were an alcoholic, and Odyssey decided that alcohol was our sponsor of this show. So every day you had to come in, and here's a line of beers right in front of you. And you can have them if you want them, but if you do, you'll be in trouble. They're right there. They're right there. You could take them. The cameras aren't always on. Someone's not going to keep inventory. You could probably swipe one. There are people with this kind of addiction, gambling addiction, and they're putting it right in their face saying it's okay for us as a company to do this, talking about sports, but we don't want you to do it. And it just doesn't seem right to me. I don't gamble, When I do on the show, you see what happens. So I just think it's hypocritical as sports as an entity. I think is very hypocritical how they've gravitated towards gambling, and I understand why. It's a lot of money. I get that, but at the same time, you're saying, "Hey, we can do this, but you can't." It just doesn't seem right.
Okay. I want to go in a couple of different directions here. The alcohol concept. Let's go with this. Lonzo, are we allowed to drink on the air?
No.
Okay.
Although I've heard tell that it happens.
For sure. But we are not allowed to drink on the air, right? So, has this station, I'll even use us, I'll walk the thin line here. Has this station sent us, you and I personally, on remote to a bar? Yes. But do you know what they say?
It's a food place first, but they also...
It's a bar.
It's a food place.
It serves food.
It's a food
but
place.
But it's a bar.
That serves alcohol.
We have been sent to a bar. The bar serves food. It's a bar. As somebody who's been in that building until 2 a.m. a lot of times, it's a bar.
A straight bar just only serves
That is not
alcohol.
correct. That is not correct. But whatever, semantics. Semantics aside, we have been sent to a place of which their primary income is booze. And do you know what we get told? You, while you are here in a work capacity, may not do a booze. So it literally has happened to you and I. This exact same thing has happened to you and I personally.
And someone got in trouble for some stuff. But here's the thing. I mean, it's not a problem for me because I'm not going to do that. I never have. It just seems hypocritical. And
I just explained to you how it's absolutely not. If it is, then go tell our boss he's a hypocrite.
No, it's only hypocritical in this situation if you're an alcoholic.
Not at all.
Yeah,
not at all.
It's only if one of us were an alcoholic, then you don't send that person. Especially
no. What you do is you go. That's a problem you have to deal with, and you have two options. You can deal with it and be employed and do this thing, or you cannot deal with it and you're not employed here.
Or you have an understanding employer that goes, okay, this is an addiction problem for you, so I'm not going to put it in your face.
There is no business, zero, that are going to say, I'm not taking sponsorship dollars for a legal entity that is willing to pay it because one employee can't stop himself from doing the thing that he can't do via this product. It's not happening. It's just not. If you can't play baseball and stop yourself from gambling, you're going to cost yourself baseball. That's a you thing.
By the way, it's not just baseball. It's across all sports. We've had
gambling
problems in other sports also.
I don't disagree. And anybody...
I think baseball is the only one that bans people for life from the Hall of Fame. But
anybody inside of any professional sporting outfit that is caught gambling should be auto-banned for life. It is one of the most drilled down upon rules that there are. I don't care if they're a sponsor. You can't do it. I can't drink on remote at a bar. You can't gamble when you play baseball. They're the same thing. All right, we'll talk more about this later on in the show. Back after this, The Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate. And it made my camera go out of focus.
Again, you can have this light. You use this light forever, and you don't want to take it. I am not using that light.
Have a thing for the camera on it.
So turn it around and use it. Use the light. That's what you did before that one started working. Then you don't have to. This is causing frustration for you. Why not go with another solution for now? And then mention it to Chris, and maybe he's already said that he probably needs to order some more. Send an official email to engineering.
Ken, you might be shocked about some viewpoints that I hold. Yes, I'm super big on personal responsibility. If you can't handle it.
Wait, you're saying that Democrats aren't big
No,
on
I'm saying
personal
the-
responsibility?
No, I absolutely do. I'm saying the common talking point amongst conservatives
I've
is
never heard that before.
liberals don't believe in personal responsibility.
I have never heard that before. Wow. It's a new day. Yes, it is.
But no, I do not. For the record, Kane, I do believe in personal responsibility. I also don't think conservatives get a claim on personal responsibility. It's also the same as conservatives don't get a claim on, we love freedom and you hate it. That's lame.
Do you hate freedom?
No, I'm a big fan of it personally. I do my best to take advantage of it
No, you're trying
every
to
day.
take away the freedom of the MLB to put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. Sounds like a hater of freedom to me. This Pete Rose thing's really got you messed up. You just want to fight.
Nah, it's just early in the morning.
1 minute.
1 minute.
Stop gearing things towards politics, Kane. You don't have to deal with angry people in the room. Why did I go to the doctor? Because the boss made me.
I don't think that's anti-liberal, Kane.
You're just not going to listen to me, are you?
I didn't hear what you said.
No, I'm talking to Kane.
Oh.
It's only 6:40. That means 3 hours and 20 minutes. I'm going to have to deal with an angry person over there if you keep it up. Should be all about fun here.
So obviously the local tie to this Pete Rose story is the potential Hall of Fame enshrinement of Shoeless Joe Jackson, one of baseball's greatest hitters, who was accused of participating in the 1919 Chicago White Stockings gambling / cheating / throwing / whatever scandal. I dove into this a little bit last night because as much as obviously Shoeless Joe Jackson means to this area, I have had the opportunity in the past to visit the Shoeless Joe Jackson Museum downtown. It is fantastic. One thing that you will notice is that, and this is not on them, you will notice that the Greenville Drive do very little, actually don't mention Shoeless Joe Jackson, which you would think that they would, but part of the reason that they have not is because of all of the rules about Shoeless Joe Jackson and the ban of all the White Sox players from back in the day, et cetera, et cetera. Now with that being lifted, I suspect there will be a lot more acknowledgement by the baseball community of Greenville, South Carolina, of Shoeless Joe Jackson. But I have to acknowledge, I never really took a dive into the 1919 scandal that Shoeless Joe Jackson was involved in.
You didn't even watch any of the movies? There's a couple of really good movies.
I really did not.
Eight Man Out and something else. There's another one. One of them has Cusack in it.
I really have not ever taken the deep dive in any way, shape, or form. And that's on me. Like, I should have. But also, it happened in 1919. So, I got limited mental capacity. So, back in 1919, a number of members of the Chicago baseball team were accused of taking money and in return throwing games so that gamblers could win money off of those games. Shoeless Joe Jackson, this is my baseline and borderline understanding. Shoeless Joe Jackson initially confessed to accepting $5,000 from gamblers, though he did later recant the confession, claiming he was illiterate and did not understand the agreement that he had signed. Shoeless Joe Jackson was also closely associated with some of the players who were actively involved, proven actively involved with the fix itself. Shoeless Joe Jackson would, during a grand jury testimony about the scandal, include an admission of receiving money, but also claim he did not participate in the fix. In the series, in the World Series that this scandal revolved around, Shoeless Joe Jackson batted .375, hit the only home run in the series, and played solid defense, which has been one of the arguments against Shoeless Joe Jackson being knowingly involved with the scandal itself. Why would a guy who was trying to throw the series for money, bat .375, hit the only home run in the series, and be an outstanding defender in the field? The second evidence that supports the innocence of Shoeless Joe Jackson that I was able to put together is that while the admission of taking $5,000, which, as we mentioned, was recanted later when he said it was a written agreement and he did not know what he was signing because he was illiterate, outside of the confession, which was recanted, there was never any clear proof or evidence that he altered his play or attempted to get anyone else to do the same. And since this has happened, dating back for a very long time, those who have known or did know Shoeless Joe Jackson and many baseball historians who have studied the 1919 cheating scandal have argued that Shoeless Joe Jackson was unfairly grouped with the conspirators. Joe Jackson was acquitted in 1929 in a criminal trial along with the other accused players, but Jackson and the others were permanently banned from Major League Baseball by newly appointed commissioner Kennesaw Mountain Landis, which is a hell of a name.
Daggone.
Miss Landis, would you like to name your bouncing baby boy? Well, you know, I grew up on Kennesaw Mountain. All right, so you're gonna name him what? Kennesaw Mountain. Kennesaw Mountain Landis. That baby don't drink milk from the bottle. He drinks moonshine from the jug. Kennesaw Mountain. Kennesaw Mountain Landis, whose stated objective was to preserve the integrity of the game regardless of the trial's outcome, was, along with the other players, although acquitted in a criminal trial, banned from Major League Baseball in 1921. That, of course, made him ineligible for the Hall of Fame up until yesterday. However, Shoeless Joe Jackson has remained a cultural icon of Major League Baseball. As Lonzo pointed out just moments ago, there have been movies made about him, books written about him, 8 Men Out. Shoeless Joe Jackson, of course, kind of a character of him played by Ray Liotta in Field of Dreams. He has been in pop culture portrayed largely as an innocent, tragic victim of a scandal brought on by other nefarious characters. Here's the reality about Shoeless Joe Jackson. The man's one of the most important baseball players of all time. The man's legacy in professional baseball cannot be understated. The public adoration for Shoeless Joe Jackson, not just here in our community where he hailed from, but around the entire baseball landscape. He has one of the most positive images of any player from that era. Think about there are other players from that era to this day who take heat because of their character, because of their decisions, because of their actions, because of their words, etc., etc. Shoeless Joe Jackson is one of the few, and there may be some baseball historians who disagree with me on this. I will keep it a buck. I'm actually quite interested in doing a lot more reading up on the legacy of Shoeless Joe Jackson. But he seems to be, from the outside looking in my perspective, one of the most unimpeachable players of the early 1900s. And so there is a lot of sentiment about getting Shoeless Joe Jackson into the Hall of Fame. The reality to that, for me, at least where I land on this, is I don't know that it can be proven that Shoeless Joe Jackson participated in the scandal. I don't know that it can be proven that Shoeless Joe Jackson took any action to actively throw the World Series that would lead to his banishment from Major League Baseball. I don't know if it happened. I know on one hand, he himself said, I took $5,000. And then on the other hand, he himself would later say, yeah, I took it, but I honestly didn't know what it was for. I can't read. Now, you know, the rational side of me says, what, there wasn't a single conversation about it? There wasn't one conversation between the gamblers and you that the contract went down on the table and they said, hey, yeah, man, we're going to sign you this deal for $5,000, but you have to blank. But again, I can't prove, nobody can prove that that did or did not happen. And if it can't be proven, obviously in the eyes of the law, if it can't be proven, it can't be convicted. So I have less of an issue with Shoeless Joe Jackson being included in this unbanishment. I have less of an issue if it is ultimately decided to include Shoeless Joe Jackson into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. I have a big problem with Pete Rose. And I have a problem with Pete Rose being enshrined because it's been proven he did it. He acknowledged he did it. He said that he did it, and he never once recanted that he did it. Shoeless Joe Jackson recanted it. Nobody was ever able to come forward with any sort of proof, evidence, or documentation. Now, again, it was 1920. So I don't really know how many gumshoes were out there really looking through the details, yeah? Not really sure how deep the investigation might have gone. But I got less of an issue. Less of an issue than I do with Pete Rose. Because if Pete Rose, who knowingly, willingly broke the cardinal rule, as Bob Nightingale called it, of Major League Baseball, and then acknowledged he did it, by the way, only in an effort to get himself unbanned. Well, I didn't do it on my team. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The rule is the rule. If we let that fly, then where does, and I'm very much somebody who regularly calls out the slippery slope fallacy, right? Well, if A, then B, and if B, then C, so not A. Well, you have to prove the definitive connection between A and B, and then from B to C in order to prevent A. And most people can't do that. But Pete Rose definitely did a thing, acknowledged he did a thing, said the thing's not really that bad, even though it is quite literally Rule 1A, and then we're going to let him in. If you're willing to say it doesn't matter that he broke the biggest rule. It doesn't matter that he acknowledges that he broke the biggest rule. We are good with it. Then what else are you good with? What other major rules are you willing to say, not that big of a deal, man? All right. We'll get back to this topic later on in the show. The water cooler cheat sheet. There's a couple of items on this I feel like you're going to be very interested in. We'll tell you what they are when we come back. All of that comes up after Lonzo enthralls you, entertains you. Ladies and gentlemen, if there was a Hall of Fame for sports flashes, Lonzo would be on the first ballot.
Yeah, I got nothing. The South Carolina Gamecock baseball team finished their non-conference slate with a 6-5 win over Winthrop at home yesterday. Jackson Susie struck out 2 and gave up 3 hits and 1 run through 4 innings. Gamecock season concludes with a 3-game set against LSU at home this weekend. The Atlanta Braves have officially reached a 500 record, something Rob didn't think would happen. With a 5-2 win over Washington yesterday at home, Spencer Schwellenbach got the win with a 7-inning, 4-hit, 2-run performance, striking out 3. The Braves are now 21-21 and 3.5 games back of Philadelphia for second in the division. In the NBA, the Indiana Pacers eliminated the number 1 seed Cleveland Cavaliers last night with a 114-105 win. Tyrese Halliburton had 31 points and Pascal Siakam had 21 with 8 boards. Cleveland missed 11 free throws, including 3 in a row from Donovan Mitchell in the closing minutes of a tight game.
Organizations to help us in referring qualified applicants to our station.
Acting on your best behavior. Nothing ever.
Do you want to rule the world?
There are days.
Because the song says everybody
There are
does.
days it feels like a lot of work.
Well, if you rule the world, you have subordinates, and they can rule it for you. So you're just enjoying the dividends or
True.
the pluses of ruling the world, I suppose.
The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you here on the show. The Hub City Spartanburger text line is open right now at 844-326-3663. 844-FANFONE. If you want to get at us in that direction, you can do it. You can call that number, 844-326-3663. Give us a buzz, jump on the air, and let's have the conversation. About what, Rob? Whatever you want. We don't care. Sports. Primarily sports. It doesn't even have to be about sports as long as it's entertaining. We are here for it. You can shoot us a tweet at the Rob Brown Show if you want to toss us a follow over there at the Rob Brown Show. You can tweet Lonzo at Lonzo on Word, W-O-R-D. Okay, don't tweet Lonzo.
Nope.
At Lonzo on Word, W-O-R-D, but don't tweet him.
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
I feel that way some days. And then, of course, if you got something that's a little more long format and you don't want to get on the air with it, that's cool too. Rob.Brown at thefanupstate.com. Rob.Brown at thefanupstate.com. It is 7:02 in the morning. Ladies and gentlemen, you're less than 58 minutes before you got to get to the office, before you've got to get to work. And we know how this works. You go in, you respond to those passive-aggressive emails, you have the conversations you don't want to have, then you walk down the hallway. You head on over to the water cooler. You meet up with that one coworker that you don't hate, and you talk sports. Well, if you're going to talk sports, you got to know what's going on, and if you got to know what's going on, don't you worry. We do this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
These are going to hurt you, sir.
they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go.
Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It is the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet, the top 3 sports stories you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports with your coworkers this morning. When you do, this is what you'll be talking about. Let's dive right in with item number 1. 2 games in the NBA playoffs last night. The number 1 seed in the East, Cleveland Cavaliers, are now ineligible for the NBA championship as they were eliminated 4-1 with a 114-105 victory by the Indiana Pacers last night. All 5 starters for the Pacers ended up in double digits, led by 31 from Tyrese Halliburton, 10 of 15 from the floor, 6 of 10 from range, made 5 of his 6 from the charity stripe, added 6 boards and 8 dimes to the tally as well. Pascal Siakam had 21 on 8 of 20 from the floor, 2 of 5 from the stripe, 8 boards, 5 assists for Siakam as well, 18 for Andrew Nebhard, who had 6 dimes as well. The Pacers shot exactly 50% from the floor, 43% from behind the arc. For C-Town, they got another one out of Spida. Donovan Mitchell, 8 of 25, 4 of 13 from range, did have 35 points, 9 boards, and 4 steals. In this one, Mitchell did have to check out of the game and head to the locker room for a few minutes for an undisclosed injury. He did return, but ultimately played 38 minutes in this contest. DeAndre Hunter came off the bench to fill in. He had 12 points in 30 minutes. The Cleveland Cavaliers shot just 38.9%, 25% from range. The biggest number of all, 26 of 37 from the charity stripe last night. And this game was over when at one point the Cleveland Cavaliers were down by 6. Donovan Mitchell gets fouled on a 3-point effort from well outside of the arc, goes to the line, and misses 1, misses 2, misses all 3 free throws. The Pacers were able to take it back down to the other end. They get themselves another corner 3. They're up 9. Ball game at that point. If you can't hit your free throws, you can't win.
Caught the end of that game. How annoying was that? It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
And it looked like, okay, this is not insurmountable. There's still a couple minutes left. They can get back into this. They can hit a couple threes. They can... No, you get the fouls and you can't make the foul shots.
That was it. Couldn't make free throws. Field goals weren't going down. Mitchell at one point had, I think, back-to-back missed point-blank layups. Like, how are you? You can't do that. There was on one possession, Spida went back the other way on a breakaway, pulled up a few steps early, did not take the ball all the way to the rack. Last couple of steps were kind of slow. He gets blocked. I think it was DeAndre Hunter following him. He gets the rebound. He goes up for a layup. He gets blocked. Back to back. Like bunnies. Just throw a pump fake, get him in the air, and then get the easy bucket. Cleveland down the stretch did not look like a 64-win basketball team. Cleveland down the stretch looked like a basketball team that was just overwhelmed.
All right, so near the end of the game, and you've never been there before as far as I know, you start thinking about Cleveland, you start thinking about Cancun. You start thinking about Cleveland, you start thinking about Cancun. You start thinking about Cleveland, you start thinking about Cancun, and then you start missing shots. That's what I'm going to go with.
First and foremost, I would like to say that I have heard that Cleveland rocks.
But
I cannot confirm or deny.
Okay, so I've never been to Cancun, so I can't confirm this either. But as far as I've heard, Cleveland, not Cancun.
I have been to Cancun. And without going to Cleveland, I can go ahead and tell you which one of those two cities I'd rather be in. Which one of those two places I'd... If you said you can spend the rest of your life in Cleveland or Cancun, I'm going to go with the Mai Tais and the bikinis.
And think about, not only are you in Cancun, but you're filthy rich.
Yep. See, I went to Cancun. I went to an all-inclusive resort at Cancun. And I'm going to say the whole Cancun jokes, they make sense. The place is awesome when everything's already bought and paid for. And all you got to do is swim up to the poolside bar and say, "I'd like that free Mai Tai, please." And the young lady behind the bar says, "You got it, sir." Oh, yeah. Forget work. I'm never leaving. I just live here in Cancun now.
Whereas Cleveland, although it does rock, is still gray and cold and not Cancun.
Not Cancun. In fairness, most places aren't Cancun. I'm an experienced Cancuner, and I can say most places not Cancun. I've also said Cancun enough times that it sounds weird now. Cancun.
Oh no, the Cancuner thing was weird.
Cancun. 112-105, the Oklahoma City Thunder have pushed the Denver Nuggets to the brink of elimination last night. The Nuggets actually in control of this game for a good chunk of it. I actually turned this game off and went Betty bye when the Nuggets were up about 9 in the third quarter. I thought, that's enough for me. Denver was up a deuce at the half and then took an 8-point lead to finish the third, 34-19. The Thunder go blitzkrieg down the stretch in the fourth quarter. SGA ended with 31 on 12 of 23, 1 of 3 from behind the stripe, 6 boards, 7 dimes in that one. And then he had a bunch of others in the teens. Dort had a dozen, 14 for Holmgren, 18 for Williams, 15 for Hartenstein, 13 off the bench for Alex Caruso, who, by the way, I have to thank Alex Caruso because I have been taking Alex Caruso over 1.5 made 3-pointers in every game, and he's like getting it every game. And they keep putting it that number. Love Alex Caruso, 24 minutes, 13 points.
A headband?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause that's where his power comes from.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt. Denver will be back at the crib for Game 6. It is a must-win or go home for the Denver Nuggets, who will try to force a Game 7 back in Oklahoma City later on in the week. Over to the NHL playoffs. Just one game taking place last night. The Dallas Stars now lead the Winnipeg Jets 3-1. Ever since we got the dropped Winnipeg Jets fight song, we want the cup, cup, cup. We want the cup, cup, cup. We want the cup, cup, cup. Winnipeg hasn't won a game. 3-1 Dallas over the Jets last night. It was a hat trick for Mikael Granlund, who had all 3 goals for the Stars last night, but it was Jake Ottinger. And listen, first star is always going to go to the guy that nets the Hattie, without a doubt. I don't even have to look. Star number 2 goes to Otter. Jake Ottinger, 32 shots faced, 31 saves last night. Ottinger against Colorado in round 1 was being called everything shy of a liability by the hockey folks. Ottinger in series number 2 has been an absolute stud. In fact, it's Connor Hellebuyck, who, of course, was the goalie, the netminder for Team USA during the Four Nations face-off a couple of months ago. Connor Hellebuyck has been under assault and not really responding to the pressure. 24 shots against, 3 allowed. Again, all of them last night went to Mikael Granlund. The Stars now up 3-1 over Winnipeg in that series. Let's go to item number 2. The NFL schedule release takes place this evening at 8 p.m. We will find out who is playing who, when, and where. However, over the past week or so, we have started to find out some of the games that will be taking place throughout the NFL season. We already know a couple of the international games. We already know that the Minnesota Vikings will be making history this year as they will become the first franchise in the National Football League who will play back-to-back international dates in different countries. On September 28th at Croke Park in Dublin, Ireland, the Minnesota Vikings will take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. They will then hop a few miles down on a train to London, England, where they face the Cleveland Browns October 5th at London's Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It is the first ever NFL game in Ireland. It is, of course, not the first game in London, but it is the first time that a team will play back-to-back consecutive international games and do so in different countries at different stadiums. We will find out some more, all the rest of the international games, as well as the full schedule for all 32 teams tonight. The first international game, September 5th in Sao Paulo, Brasilia, where the Chargers will face off with somebody. We'll find out tonight. We don't know who it is. On October 5th is the Vikings-Brown matchup. Then there are 2 more London games in consecutive weeks. The Jets and the Broncos will play October 12th at Tottenham Hotspur, and the Rams will play the Jags October 19th at Wembley. The NFL will also return to Germany November 9th when the Falcons and the Colts play at Olympic Stadium, the league's first regular season game in Berlin. The NFL has played games in Munich and Frankfurt dating back to 2022. This will be the first time they play in Berlin. The international schedule will wrap up on November 16th when the Washington Commanders play the Miami Dolphins at Santiago Bernabeu Stadium, I guess, in Madrid, Spain, in the NFL's first regular season game in España. Let's go to item number 3. We talked about this one at length back in hour number 1, so we'll give you the abridged version here. If you missed that conversation, worry not, dear friend. You can go to thefanupstate.com after the conclusion of the show, and you can pull all 4 hours on demand. You can also listen wherever major podcasts are found: Spotify, Apple Podcast, iTunes, whatever. Go search and subscribe to The Rob Brown Show, and all 4 hours of the show are brought to you on demand within mere minutes of the conclusion of the radio broadcast every single weekday. Pete Rose, Joe Jackson, 7 other members of the 1919 Chicago Black Sox, 6 other former players, 1 coach, and 1 former owner are all now eligible to be voted for the Hall of Fame after Commissioner Rob Manfred removed them from Major League Baseball's permanently ineligible list yesterday. Hall of Fame Chairwoman Jane Forbes Clark said in a statement, the National Baseball Hall of Fame has always maintained that anyone removed from baseball's permanently ineligible list will become eligible for Hall of Fame consideration. Major League Baseball's decision to remove deceased individuals from the permanently ineligible list will allow for the Hall of Fame candidacy of such individuals to now be considered. Now, due to Hall of Fame voting procedures, Rose and Jackson will not be eligible to be voted on until the Classic Era Baseball Committee, which votes on individuals who made their biggest impact prior to 1980, meets in December of 2027. All of these individuals on the banned list that were reinstated had been permanently ineligible due to accusations related to gambling on baseball games, either throwing games, accepting bribes, or, like Rose, outright betting. Most of the banned players, including Jackson and his 7 Chicago White Sox teammates who threw the 1919 World Series, played in the 1910s when gambling in baseball was widespread. Historian Bill James wrote, quote, few simplifications of memory are as bizarre as the notion that the Black Sox scandal hit baseball out of the blue. In fact, of course, the Black Sox scandal was merely the largest wart of a disease that had infested baseball at least a dozen years earlier and had grown unchecked to ravage the features of a generation. End quote. Of course, the White Sox players were acquitted in a criminal trial in 1921, but then Commissioner, I'm just going to bring this story up so I can keep reminding you that Major League Baseball had a commissioner who went by the name Kennesaw Mountain Landis. He banned the 8 players in a statement that began with the words, quote, regardless of the verdict of juries, end quote. So we will see if these players are ultimately included into the Hall of Fame. But as mentioned, if they are, that will not take place until December of 2027. So we got some time. All right, when we come back here in just a minute, something finally went right for the Atlanta Braves last night. And not only did something go right from the dish, but something went so right for the Bravos over the past few games that I think a player who has been considered a stalwart of this team is now a trade piece. And I'm going to tell you why when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
You should look up Kennesaw to see what he looks like.
I feel like it's going to be exactly what I think it is.
I just did. It's interesting. I do believe.
Wow.
I do believe that man hunted vampires. I mean,
or people.
Yeah.
Just people.
That's you go in front of that guy, you know you're going to jail. I mean, there's just no. I mean, that's a scary looking dude. The Honorable Kennesaw Mountain residing. I think they called him Kenny. I'm guessing not.
No. No, they called him Your Honor, Kennesaw Mountain Landis, even in casual conversation. Hey, I'm headed to the bar, Your Honor, Kennesaw Mountain Landis. Can I get you another drink? Be right back, guys. This entire time without break, I have been telling you people, do not give up on the Atlanta Braves.
Yep, that's you for sure.
Without a break from the optimism.
Light of hope, a beacon, if you
A
will.
light in the darkness have I been for all of you disgruntled Braves fans. You have come to me and I have said, panic not, my dear friends. Relax. Everything is gonna be okay. Just like that, the Braves are back to 500. 21-21 after a 5-2 win over the Nationals yesterday. Okay, let's quit with the funnies. The Nats are 17-26. They are one of the worst teams in baseball. Not the worst team in baseball, but they ain't good.
You know who else is not the worst team in baseball? The Atlanta Braves.
Correct.
If you would have listened to the Beacon of Hope the last couple of weeks, you would have thought the Atlanta Braves were the worst team in the history of baseball.
There is Lonzo. You're a parent. You're a dad. You raised some children, good ones, by the way. My old man used to tell me, and I'm curious if you felt the same way as a father. My old man used to tell me, I'm not upset at failure. I'm upset at a lack of effort. I'm not upset at failure. I'm upset because I know what you're capable of, and I know you're not reaching to reach that potential.
All right. So if Cameron came home with 97, I would say, do you know what you did wrong? Would not praise him for the 97. I would ask him, do you know what you did wrong? And he would say, yes, I know what I did wrong. I said, so you won't miss that question again. Yes.
What if Cameron came home with a 50?
Never, ever would have happened.
Okay. The hypothetical
it is
look back.
conceivable. I have friends and relatives who are not very bright. He is not one of those people. He's one of the smartest people I know. So,
I'm aware. I've met him.
So it's not, I mean, I'm not, that's my boy. He won the academic award almost every single year throughout his entire thing. So if he came home with the 50, it would have been
shocking.
Yeah, it would have
shocking.
been. There have been after the initial shock, I would ask him to explain, and if the explanation wasn't good enough, there would be punishment involved, and maybe even going to talk to the teacher.
Ladies and gentlemen, my baby boy is the Atlanta Braves. That's exactly it. They've turned in a 50 so far. And I am shocked. I am disappointed because I know what my special baby boys are capable of doing. I know what my special baby boys can do if they apply themselves. That was my dad's favorite word. Did you apply yourself, son?
Do the dad voice?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think
My dad had the thing where he would pull the glasses down like this, and he would look over the glasses at you, which was always haunting.
Ooh.
And he would hit you with, did you truly apply yourself? And he'd drop the intensity in the voice down. Did you honestly do the best you could? Don't tell me if you do the best you could. Look in the mirror and tell yourself if you did the best you could. And for whatever reason, that absolutely worked for me. Because, me now, I'd be able to be like, yeah, Dad, totally did. But,
no.
as a 15-year-old.
You now would still be looking in that mirror going,
No, I tell myself I suck all the time. I'm aware of it. The point here is, I know what my baby boys are capable of doing.
Do you?
Yeah.
Because the negativity that I've had to endure the last couple of weeks have been the most negativity that I've had to deal with since we've been on the same show together.
It is because I know that they are not a 500 ball club.
Well,
It's because I know this. Listen,
you seem to act like they didn't have the potential to be better than what they were.
Quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. They have the potential to be dramatically better than they are. And I know that. Look, if I was a fan of the Colorado Rockies, do you think I'd be in here every day screaming and ranting and raving about how bad the team is? No. I'd be here every day going, welp, the Rockies again. That's just what they are. If I was a fan of the Miami Marlins, if I was broadcasting down in sunny South Florida, I would not be coming on the air every day going, what are we doing? What are we doing here? I would go, yeah, this is about what I expected. This is about what I expected. This team's not very good, but I know that this team is better than a 500 ball club. Just on paper alone, they've got better than 500 talent. The Braves get a 5-2 win last night. In that 5-2 win last night, they, would you look at that, have 11 hits. When you show up, Ozzie Albies, in fact, here, let me just give you the moment last night that I went, oh, maybe there's something to this team.
Is he attacking me? Is he not?
Ozuna attacks that. Left center, kiss it goodbye. A big fly for the Big Bear. 3-1.
Ozzy Albies.
All right, now everyone's curious about why he was being attacked.
No, he attacked the ball. Well, Soroka was like, he was coming after the dudes last night. Like, he was coming after the dudes, Mike Soroka. Former Atlanta Brave, pitching for the first time back in the ATL after he got let go from the ball club. He ended up with the Nationals. He was coming after the Bravos last night. But that was from 2 nights ago. Sorry, played the wrong clip. Let me give you the clip from last night. This is a rookie.
3-2. Baldwin deep to right. And that ball is gone. A 2-run shot by the rookie Drake Baldwin to tie this game in the 4th.
The rookie Drake Baldwin, as he will only be called from now on. The rookie Drake Baldwin, who was playing catcher last night, goes dong, brings in a couple of runs, gives the Braves a little bit of breathing room. Over the past 7 days, Drake Baldwin has played, the rookie Drake Baldwin has played in 6 games, had 14 at-bats. He has hits in 9 of those 14 at-bats. He is responsible for 4 runs. He has 2 doubles, 2 dongs, and 5 ribbies in that time span. Now, I'm not saying that the hot streak of the rookie Drake Baldwin is going to last forever. What I'm saying is the rookie Drake Baldwin has been the most clutch guy on this roster in recent memory. The rookie Drake Baldwin should be starting every game. The problem is one of the only places that one of your opening day starters has been giving you anything is Sean Murphy, the other catcher. These 2 guys have been alternating dates. That is why the rookie Drake Baldwin, over the 7 days only has 14 at-bats because he and Sean Murphy have been alternating starts. There's a little bit of light here. And that little bit of light here is that you have just stumbled, which is what the Braves have done over the years. You have just stumbled into a kid who is showing pop right now, who is showing pizzazz, who is showing razzle-dazzle right now. And you've got it at a position where it felt like you were set. There are going to be, at the trade deadline coming up here in a couple of months, there are going to be, by my estimation, something to the tune of about 20 Major League ball clubs that are going to be buyers, and there are going to be about 6 Major League ball clubs that are going to be sellers. About 20 Major League ball clubs that are going to have guys they are wanting to go get, and about 6 Major League ball clubs that are going to say, we are ripe for the picking. You want them? Come get them. Any team that is a contender, that has a piece like this can do nothing but gain additional assets. I'm not saying this is what is going to happen. There is a lot of baseball between here and the trade deadline. And if the rookie Drake Baldwin suddenly goes the rookie and backs off and fades away, then, yeah, you got to go back to Sean Murphy. You got to start going back to letting him get every single start. But if the rookie Drake Baldwin stays this hot between now and the trade deadline, I think Sean Murphy becomes a piece. And why Sean Murphy, not Drake Baldwin? Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hang on to the 24-year-old rookie who is slugging instead of Sean Murphy, who is closer to 30, who is probably still a very good player, but probably closer to the end of his highlight days than the beginning of them, but provides a bat to a lineup. If you are the Braves right now, and this kid, the rookie Drake Baldwin, who again, 14 at-bats, 9 hits, 2 doubles, and a big dong. If you are able to keep this kid hot, and you can put a bat out onto the market, One of those pieces that you have been missing, and you'll get a little bit of help back with the return of Spencer Strider. You'll be able to put him back into the ace spot, but a starting pitching spot becomes possible. A back-end relief spot, a middle relief spot becomes a possibility. I am, and I mean this, as much as I have been bagging this team, and I'm going to continue to, because the Washington Nationals are a bad baseball team. You do not get credit for winning back-to-back games against a bad club. I expect that. This is why I was so infuriated after the Braves went to Pittsburgh, a bad baseball team who fired their manager, did not face Paul Skeens, the only player on that team that is consistently worth anything, and lost 2 out of 3. Unacceptable. This is not acceptable. This is expected. This is standard. This is bringing home a B- on the math test. I don't go, Dad, I got a B- and expect a pat on the back. I go, Dad, I got a B-, and my dad goes, well, yeah, that's expected. That's what you should do. That's baseline bare minimum. I expect you to elevate from that. Well, if the rookie Drake Baldwin keeps Baldwining out like he is right now, Sean Murphy's a trade piece, and just like that, maybe the Braves have an asset that they did not expect to have coming into this year. And those types of things are going to be the things that help this team climb above 500 and get back into the race. The Braves now, by the way, 3.5 games back of the Phillies for second in the division. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. I just said that, Sports Flash guy. All right, guys, give me 30 seconds. I will be right back, and I will address all of your lovely comments. Jacob on the Facebook stream said, Rob, if you keep lying, I'm going to call Kennesaw on you. Your special baby boys have a terrible teacher, a.k.a. coach. But Ronald Acuna Jr. did hit a homer last night. Yes, he did. Rehab game down in Florida. Ronnie went yard in his third AB. The video made its way around social media last night, and I would be obviously lying to you to tell you that I didn't get a little bit excited when I saw that Trot be back. And on top of that, because he is in his rehab assignment, the Braves have 3 weeks to reactivate him to the Major League roster, or he must go back onto the DL. So they are only going to activate him and send him to Florida for a rehab assignment if they believe he is within 3 weeks of a return. Do not have to wait the full 3 weeks, but we'll see if and when Ronnie comes back. I do agree about Snit, though. Like, oh my.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to think this is breaking news or not, but it is because we're still getting schedule leaks.
Ooh.
This dropped a minute ago. Kansas City will be heading to Dallas on Thanksgiving.
Ooh.
Yes.
You guys get both holiday games this year.
Yes. So now Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Kansas City taking on the Broncos on Christmas Day night. And now we'll take on the annual Dallas Cowboys opponent on Thanksgiving Day down at the Big D. And I do mean Dallas. The holiday games are a television ratings game.
That was dropped by the NFL. Why are they doing that?
They're going to do it all day. You'll see a couple more come out before they drop the full schedule tonight. It's honestly, it's just to pique interest in the broadcast tonight.
You watching the broadcast tonight?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably not. I'm just gonna wait till they drop and go look at the schedule and then move on.
I will have it on. I want to be abundantly clear. I will have it on, but it's going to be on the baby TV. It's going to be on the little TV. I've got the NBA playoffs tonight with New York at Boston probably finishing that series. Golden State at Minnesota probably finishing that series. I've got the NHL playoffs tonight. Florida's at Toronto. That will be on the big TV. These two teams are beating the absolute and entire dog bleep out of each other. The last game ended with fisticuffs after the buzzer sounded, and we had players on the ice loudly, audibly picked up the mics and cameras telling other players, I got you on Wednesday. Suffice to say, we may have a Four Nations face-off scenario where we have gloves hitting ice and fist hitting chins within 90 seconds of the puck hitting the ice in this game. So that's going to be primary at 7 o'clock. Edmonton, Vegas at 9:30. I'm not going to stay up late for that game. Vegas is favored in this game, minus 130. Over-under set at 6.5. So we'll probably see some goals in this one. But I think Vegas is the I don't want to say an easy pick. I mean, it's hockey. You never know. But I think Vegas is going to figure out a way at home to continue their season for one more. So the NFL schedule release will have a place somewhere, but it's going to be on the baby TV. I think what we have seen so far is, it's going to be a relatively busy year, I think. In fact, I've got a tracker going right now that has all of the NFL schedules that have been dropped so far. Let me see if I can get that pulled up. Here it is. Here's what we know so far. We have, let's see here. Week 1, we know is opening with Cowboys-Eagles, 8:20 on Thursday, September 4th. Friday, September 5th, Chiefs-Chargers. That is the one that is in Sao Paulo, Brasilia. In week 1 on Sunday, we know 3 games right now. Bucks at Falcons at 1, NFC South matchup. Titans at Broncos, the debut of Cam Ward taking on Captain Checkdown Bo Nix. And then the 49ers at the Seahawks at the 4:25 window. We do not know what Sunday Night Football nor Monday Night Football looks like. As far as the rest of the season, We do have a couple of other games that have been filled in so far. We mentioned the Vikings. They will be on the road back-to-back weeks in Europe. On the 28th of September, they will be against the Steelers in Dublin, Ireland. The very next week, they will travel a few hundred miles to the south. I actually don't know if it's a few hundred miles. It's some amount of miles to the south.
It'd be meters over there, right? So
kilometers.
Okay.
Yeah, miles go to kilometers. Down to London, to Tottenham Hotspur to take on the Browns.
I reject your judgment right there. I want you to know that.
Well, if you measured miles in meters, that's going to be a big-ass number, dude.
Technically, I'm still right. It's just, I mean, there's a larger unit of measurement there.
Yeah, but in that case,
without a meter, there are no kilometers.
They're gonna travel 797,313 meters south. I mean, it's technically correct.
Which sounds a lot further away.
Vikings, Steelers in Dublin on the 28th of September, the very next week. They will take on the Browns in London, the first team to play back-to-back games in different countries and stadiums. We had the Broncos and the Jets in London on October 12th. The Rams and the Jags in London on October 19th. Those are the games that we know so far. I think that's all of them that we know so far. Nope, Sunday, November 9th, we have the Berlin game. That's right, Falcons-Colts will be November 9th in Berlin. And then we have the game in Madrid, España, which will be the Commanders and the Dolphins on Sunday, November 16th. That is the final of the international games. Thanksgiving week. On Thanksgiving Day, we have 3 games. TBA at the Lions in the 1 o'clock slot. We have what we just learned. Breaking news brought to you by our friends at BetQL. Be a better, be smarter, beat the books. Get the BetQL app. And don't forget to listen to Bet for the Cycle every Saturday from noon to 4 with myself and former Major League Baseball player Cody Decker. Breaking news, the Chiefs will be at the Cowboys in the 4:30 slot. And Tampa is at the Rams on Thanksgiving night at 8:20. Why is that? Tampa at LA? That's a weird Thanksgiving night game. Black Friday, the Bears at the Eagles in the daytime. That will be at 3 p.m. And then we have our, our week of Christmas games. Saturday, December 20th, Packers at Bears, Eagles at Commanders, times TBD. On Christmas Day, we will have 3 games, one of them at 1, one at 4:30. Both of those games will be on Netflix. Actually, all of the Christmas games are on a streaming service. The 1 o'clock game on Netflix, the 4:30 game on Netflix, and then the 8:20 game, Broncos at Chiefs, will be on Amazon Prime. We will have a Saturday night game on the 27th of December, that game on Peacock. And that is what we know right now. There will be no Thursday or Monday night game in Week 18. All games will be played on Sunday, except for 2 that will be flexed into ESPN's Saturday night doubleheader. I don't love that, to be honest. Honestly, I think every Week 18 game should be played at the same time. Right? Just because of the possible playoff implications for one result. It kind of stinks a little bit when a 1 o'clock game eliminates a 4 o'clock game from contention. A 4 o'clock team from contention. All of a sudden that game doesn't really have the vibes anymore. I get that it allows us to watch more games, but I think Week 18 Sunday should just be an absolute chaotic free-for-all. Let's start every game at 4:25. Let's have 16 games all at 4:25 and go bananas. Anyway, thoughts on what we know so far. The only one that jumped into the noggin for me, great one, is I really hope that Netflix ups their game from the last NFL game. The last couple of live sports non-wrestling broadcasts that Netflix has had have been not great. Not great. The production value was just bad. So I really hope they get it together. I'd like to think that there have been some lessons that they will have taken away from having Monday Night Raw every Monday, but also the amount of production that goes into Raw. Like, they know where every camera's going to be before that camera needs to be there, before the show even starts on Raw, whereas obviously football is a different breed of cat. So the only really thought I have about what we know so far is I really hope that Netflix gets it together, because they've got an increased number of games, including a pair of them back-to-back on Christmas Day. And I don't want Netflix ruining my Christmas.
All right, I think there's a little bit of overanalyzing when it comes, because I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, but I also take into account, hey, this is the first time they're doing this. I do agree that they should improve this year. It should be better. Audio problems and camera angles should be taken care of, but we'll see.
I think my only real take on that is, if those streaming outlets are going to have sole rights over a game, and the NFL is going to pay them, or is going to be paid as much money as they are paid to give them the most popular sporting product in the United States of America, like, give us a good game.
But at the same time, maybe this is a standard for streaming games. You're used to a certain quality for networks, but maybe this is the standard for streaming games for streamers.
I hope not, because last year's were terrible.
Because do they have to live up to what you enjoyed on traditional TV? Or do you get what you pay for? If you don't like it, don't pay for it.
I mean, I guess there's that. I don't know. I think, and I will give some level of credit to, like, Amazon Prime. I think Thursday Night Football has gotten dramatically better over the past couple of years, right? Like, I still think Uncle Al's checked out entirely. I think he got his $40+ million payday, and he's like, yeah, I'm good. Who's number 27 again? Kirk? Who's number 27 again? Herbie? I don't know. Jeff the Lawn Guy on the Facebook stream said, what do you think about taking away from multiple games from a fan base that can't go to out-of-country games? I'll address that when we come back. And you, Jeff the Lawn Guy, and a lot of the rest of you, are not going to like the answer. And I'll tell you what it is when we come back. We come back after Lonzo gives you this absolutely stunner sports flash.
Yeah, you hit him with that negativity, and then I have to deal with it. Thanks.
I'm going outside.
The Atlanta Braves have officially reached a .500 record with a 5-2 win over Washington yesterday at home. Spencer Schwellenbach got the win with a 7-inning, 4-hit, 2-run performance, striking out 3. The Braves are now 21-21 and 3.5 games back of Philadelphia for second in the division, and Rob's panic has eased a little. The Indiana Pacers eliminated the number 1 seed Cleveland Cavaliers last night with a 114-105 win. Tyrese Halliburton had 31 points, and Pascal Siakam had 21 with 8 boards. Cleveland missed 11 free throws, including 3 in a row from Donovan Mitchell in the closing minutes of a tight game. Oklahoma City Thunder have the Denver Nuggets on the brink of elimination after a 112-105 win last night. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 31 and 7 assists, while Jalen Williams added 18 and 9 boards. Nikola Jokic scored 44 with 15 boards in the losing effort. Come on. Come on. Thank you.
so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Unique and unlike any other sports talk show. It's BetMGM Tonight, Monday through Friday from 7 to 11, only on The Fan. BetMGM Tonight is the red zone for casual and
Me too, Donovan. Whatever 100% is, I want to be back there. But this stuff's still hanging on. I didn't expect it to just go away. I am improving, though. I cannot, as of yet, go toe-to-toe volume-wise with Rob Brown right now, because if I go too far above a certain level, I will call for like 10 minutes straight. But 2 days ago, that would have been 20 minutes straight. So. Yeah, last night I almost slept through the whole night. Only woke up twice. So I will recover more once I can sleep all the way. Didn't lay awake hearing the rattle in my lungs, which scares you because me and other people like me think of Darth Vader when the mask was removed. You just can't. I mean, that's the sound I was making when I was trying to sleep.
I have got to give credit to my guy, the D-Train Diesel, a.k.a. Kerosene, for getting a genuine laugh out of me with the What's Coming Up promo that they've got running right now, where he says Bill Belichick is just a teenager in love. And we're the parents telling him we don't like his girlfriend.
It was well done. I mean, we listen to, because we've been in radio so long, if we both perk up at the same time, like,
That's pretty good.
Because you hear it, but you don't hear it half the time because you hear things so many times. It stood out. It was and very accurate.
It's very fair, because that is a good portion of the story, right? It is every movie, TV show you've ever watched where the old character gets a very much younger than them partner. And some of those times, it turns out that they actually really do care for each other. And then there's other times that it's like, nah, not so much. Not so much. There's something else going on. And I think the story here, because there is new Bill Belichick, Jordan Hudson news to talk about here on the TMZ Sports Show. That is not the name of the show. It's TRBS Sports Show. The Rob Brown Show, as a matter of fact, here on the Fan Upstate. Welcome back. There's new news ongoing in the Belichick story. And I'm at the point now, I asked earlier in the week, how many of y'all care about the story? And the reaction was like 50-50. There was a large group of y'all who texted the Hub City Spartanburger text line and said, Rob, I could not care less. And then there was a large group of y'all that texted the Hub City Spartanburger text line at 844-326-3663 and said, I absolutely love it. I love the drama. I can't stay away from it. I don't know what the demographic split on that is because the text doesn't tell us what the demo of the texter is. I imagine that there are at least some level of people who aren't maybe day-to-day consistent football people who are in on this story because it is so drama-filled.
The wrestling fan in me loves it because this is definitely like a thing in wrestling. The other part of me that's non-ageist and doesn't care is like it's not really a story. Whatever. Hopefully they're really in love and good for them. Sometimes
I'm just a teenager in
love. Wow, dude. Talk about a data reference.
Yeah, that's real old.
Love can overcome all boundaries, even like 50 years. I think it's 50 years.
Dion DiMucci is the artist who sang Teenager in Love.
Wow.
There's a thing you all know that you did not know you were
going
to know today.
Here's the thing. He just went by Dion. He dropped the last name.
Oh, he dropped the DiMucci?
Yeah, Dion is pretty famous. The DiMucci part, not so much.
Dion DiMucci. All right, so anyway, point here is I have given you the angle on why this story is compelling to me. And now there's new conspiracy theories out there because, and I had this conversation yesterday with, day before yesterday, with a friend of the show, Joey B. He and I were talking about this a little bit. We were talking about the fact that for some reason, Pablo Torres has become like the media face of this story. Pablo was the one who dropped a few days ago the news, or maybe not, that Jordan Hudson had been banned from the UNC, football facilities. Of course, a few hours later, UNC would drop a statement that says that's not true. Jordan Hudson is welcome at the facilities. Pablo would then go on a little bit later and say, no, my reporting was good. They changed directions after the reporting. They changed up their directive after the reporting. So I don't know which of the two is true. I brought this up to friend of the show, Joey B. We were having a conversation about it. And Joe said, Pablo, as I did on last Friday that this story broke? Pablo has spent a very long time building up a pretty solid foundation of credibility when it comes to sports talking. Pablo, amongst those who consume an irresponsible amount of sports content, Pablo is considered a pretty trustworthy source.
It's another one of those guys that puts too much politics into everything, and I don't care about your politics. Just talk about the sports.
I mean, again, that's fine. Don't consume the media. But for those of us that do.
And I don't. Because of that. I liked him until he started doing all that stuff. And it's like, okay, right, whatever, dude. Just another one falling in lines with everyone that thinks they got to talk about their politics when I want to come here to escape that. But anyway.
Again, all well and good. Not every show is for everybody.
But because of that, it makes me doubt him as soon as I hear he's the one who did it.
Why?
Because of his politics.
Because of his political stance, or because he talks about politics?
Because politics is his main deal. When you think of him, you think politics first, then you think sports. If I thought sports was dabbling in politics, Stephen A. Smith, sports first, then politics. That's kind of changing now, but for the most part, that's lately, as his run gets more serious. But when I think, whatever, dude, it's not me doing it. Anyway, that's him. When you know him for your politics first and then your sports second, that doesn't appeal to me. So when I hear that, immediately I think negatively because I'm thinking, okay, what's the politics behind it? Not what's the sports behind it.
I think that when sports talks when sports talk host involve politics in their conversation, number one, it is to me, it is the way great one. It is the way that you and I involve movies or video games or wrestling or whatever. It's just that's a thing that they care about and are passionate about. It works in. But I also think that
not as polarizing as politics.
Irrelevant to the reaction to the topic. That's the thing that they are passionate about, right? And for guys like us on a neutral entity like a radio program, yeah, we are kind of discouraged from polarizing our audience. Podcast guys, quite the opposite, right? And the example would be, and this is not a shot, the example would be Clay Travis and Outkick the Coverage. That dude does more politics and sports than anybody else in the game.
By the way, don't really. I mean, I've seen.
This isn't about you.
No, I just want to point out. I want to point out consistency. I've seen a few things of his, but because politics are so much in front for him, doesn't interest me.
Fair enough.
It's not about one side or the other. It's just a politics, period.
I'm fine with that. I think Travis is the opposite view. Jake Crane and Co. That same thing. A lot of politics injected into their show.
I don't know who that is. So
Jake Crane is a regular guest on Wire to Wire. Was a regular guest on Mark Ryan's show when he was here. Crane & Co. has become a very large online sports podcast format that does a lot of conservative politics in their sports. I think what it comes down to for most of us, and then I'll get back to kind of what I was leading off with the Belichick thing here. I think for most people, and I'm not saying this is about you, Lonzo, I'm saying in general my experience in this.
You did just point to me while you said that, but okay.
Well, it's the royal you. You just happen to be in front of me. I think for most people who disagree, people who have a differing political view and put it on a sports show are injecting too much sports, and people who share a similar sports or political view that put it into their sports show, that's a little more welcome. That's just where we are as a country. If you disagree with me politically, you hate America. If you disagree with me politically, you're a fascist. Like, that's just where we are.
Yeah,
all right?
I disagree with you. So
that's fine.
Mean,
I listen to the news at night. Like, I'm online. I hear I can't say what I was about to say, but you know what I was about to say.
No,
okay?
Actually I don't, because I try to stay out of that realm. I just do. I mean, I think that has its place and it's very important, but I don't think it belongs in sports.
I'm not just talking about in sports. I'm saying the vibe of America right now is we have created this political world
winning,
where if you disagree with me, either if you're on that side, you're a fascist, and if on that side, you hate America, and there's no middle ground anymore.
All I know about you is you don't like globalists. I only know that because you told us.
No. I am a globalist. Remember? I am a globalist. That's
no,
what
I can remember. Oh, okay. Fine.
Yeah, I am a globalist. All right, now
do you
back
think
to
Bill Belichick's a globalist?
I do not. Back to Bill Belichick. Back to where this started. The drama is for those of us who like drama. And I've said before, every one of you who likes sports likes drama. We like sports because of drama. The games that are the most entertaining games that we watch are the games that are filled with drama. You like drama. Now, your drama may come in the form of athletic competition, but you like drama. And there's obviously a lot of drama to this story. The drama that is breaking right now is that Pablo did a deep dive, because remember, the whole thing about that interview that caused all of this most recent ruckus is that the interviewer asked Hoodie to tell the story of how he and Jordan met, and she shut that down. Like, that's on tape. She shut that down. She said from the other side of the room, we're not talking about this. So Pablo, I guess, decided, well, there's something fishy about that. There's something funky about that. I want to look into it. So he went and he looked, and he found what he believes to be the date of Bill Belichick signing that philosophy book. That was allegedly the first time that the two of them met. And he says that based on a series of other data points, that he believes that Bill Belichick and Jordan met a full year before they claimed that they did meet. And there's some weirdness with the dates there. But the point isn't so much about the meeting as the whole concept of the story that they've told, if Pablo is correct, is based on either they just have the date that they met wrong, or they've lied about it for one reason or the next. I continue to circle back to, I don't care about any of the relationship drama. Do I find it in a weird way interesting? Yeah, the same way that I find interesting like the dating life of Ted and Robin on How I Met Your Mother. Cheap surface value entertainment and drama. Even if they are real people, not fictional reality TV show characters. But it does have a reality show vibe to it. And this reality show vibe is enhanced when you've got a university that is doing something original, that is doing something unique, that is doing something different with the goal of getting out front of the new wave of college football, the new vibe of college football, doing something to get out front of the professional style of college football. So they go get the most successful pro head coach of all time and bring him in to run that program as if it is an NFL team. And now it turns out that, or at least it feels like, Bill Belichick's not actually running his own life at this point. If he can't run his own life, how do I expect him to show up and run the team? But now there's a new conspiracy theory that is floating around right now. Because on a couple of different shows, Pablo and others who cover this football team have been asked, is there a possibility that Bill Belichick never coaches a game for the University of North Carolina? That this becomes such a distraction, problem, issue, whatever. Because Jordan apparently got invited to participate on Dancing with the Stars. And she turned him down. And the reason she turned him down, according to reports, is because she is currently focused on other television opportunities. And there is speculation that one of those opportunities is a show that centers on her and her relationship with Bill and their relationship with UNC football.
Where does speculations like this come from? Do people just go, you know what I think it is, and they just make it up?
I don't think so. I think it is relatively evident at this point, at least to me, and you can disagree with me, but I think based on what we know and the actions of Jordan Hudson, including the ones that she has admitted to, the ones that Bill has talked about, the ones the university's talked about, and the ones that there have just been reports about, Jordan Hudson is very clearly utilizing her time with Bill to build some sort of media legacy, whether it's as a TV person or producer, director, whatever. Again, it's kind of one of those things where a lot of this is smoke, but you know the old expression about smoke. Don't do it, kids. It's bad for you. No! Where there's smoke, there's fire. The rumor, remember Hard Knocks, which is not doing an off-season NFL series this year, was going to do UNC Hard Knocks. They were going to do Hard Knocks College, and they were going to follow Bill to UNC. And then that got killed out of the blue, and the heavy rumor floating around Chapel Bill is that Jordan's the one that killed it off. She was like, no, we're not doing this.
See, I never believed that for a second, because this is a man known for cheating a bunch of different ways in football. Why would he want a camera crew in there?
Maybe fair.
I'm just saying.
Maybe fair. There's enough rumors going around, and on top of that, we do know, because it's been registered and discovered, that since she started dating Bill, Jordan has fired up a media company, a media consulting company. So there's at least some level of truth to the rumor that she is trying to start some sort of media thing. She turned down Dancing with the Stars allegedly because she was looking for other TV opportunities. The rumors started coming out after that she wants to get involved in reality TV show. Could that mean that it's not going to be Hard Knocks? Maybe there's another style of show around her and Bill that she has more control over than she would have with Hard Knocks. I don't know. But Bill came out yesterday and sternly said that Jordan is not around or involved with his running of the football team right now. And my favorite part is, after I heard that, I went and looked at some of the major UNC websites. None of their fans believe it. None of their fans believe that. All the goodwill of Bill Belichick, just by being Bill Belichick, has floated from UNC fans right now.
We're going to find out when football season actually happens. I mean, so we still got a couple months before they're on campus, and then we'll see.
It's also true. If Bill comes out and they go 7-0 to start the year, all those same UNC fans will probably be like, hell yeah, we loved him the whole time.
I'm just talking about you can see if she's hanging around practice or not.
I mean, that's also fair. All right, let's take a break. Back after this, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's the Fan Upstate. How is it only? I know.
Stop it.
Because I haven't taken my medication.
I have to, as they say, tinkle. So I will be back. We. filled the bowl and I look fabulous now.
I forgot to take my fiber supplements a couple days in a row.
Oh no.
And there is a definite difference.
So you're saying that your attitude today is because of constipation?
No.
Okay. Ah, okay. Yeah, I looked at the streaming thing. I have almost everything already. So it's just not,
I did too.
except for YouTube TV. That's the only thing I don't
I have
have.
YouTube TV, and just about everything on that new platform is on YouTube TV. So it's like I already have all of it. Pete Thamel was on the Greg McElroy podcast and addressed the future of conference championship weekend with the possible expansion of the college football playoff. The conference championship game format, roughly, dates back to around 1992 when the SEC popularized the league championship. And since then, conference championship games have been a hallmark for conferences all year, every year. Pete Thamel said on the McElroy pod, quote, I think one conversation going on right now is a philosophical one on conference championship games. We saw a decrease in relevancy of conference championship games last year, just simply put, and this is a lot like a little bit of microcosm of college athletics in itself. Thamel will go on to say that the dilemma facing the conference championship games right now is that in an ongoing pursuit to squeeze more out of the entire college football product at large, the game is changing on a smaller scale in a lot of different areas. Thamel said that the sport has already been measurably transformed by the implementation of NIL reform and reworking of the transfer portal, and went on to say, quote, the inevitable phasing out of relevancy of conference championship games, we have empirical evidence of it, and it's staring us right in the face. And do these leagues, which, by the way, it's very valuable inventory, it's very valuable for the league, it's a moneymaker, huge moneymaker, premium ticket, big event, do they pivot and say, with college football playoff automatic qualifiers, which seemingly are on the way, do we do 4 play-in games, go 1 through 8, 2, 7, and then have the, in case of one of your top dogs gets upset, you still have the 3 at-large on the back end to sneak them in. He went on to say that the concept of various college football think tanks are already looking to tackle this changing landscape. He said, quote, that would be giving up a premium property to your television partner that would clearly want it. And it would also be giving up a big gate moneymaker. And look, like you guys have been to a lot of SEC championship games like I have. That's an event, man. Whoever's there owns Atlanta that weekend. Unwinding that is easy to say looking at a spreadsheet. It's hard to emotionally unwind for something like that, even though seemingly we are on the course for these games being less relevant. I think it's a conversation that's going to continue to evolve right now. My opinion is, I don't honestly think we'll get there. I think it will go. There will be a conference championship game with guarantees, and there will be play-in games, if you will, on the others. I'm going to tie this to a question that was asked in our live stream chat section a little earlier in the show. when Jeff the Lawn Guy said, what do you think about multiple games being taken away from a fan base with these out-of-country games that they may not be able to attend now? I don't like doing this segment. I don't like putting this on the airwaves, but it is also the truth. College football fans are learning what NFL fans learned a long time ago. That you better love football a lot because football does not love you. You better love the organizers of your favorite sport a lot because they do not love you. The conference championship games have large, and for a long time largely been, a spectacle of some degree. Now, I will point out that this past year, I went up to Charlotte, North Carolina, the site of the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship game. And in attending that game, Clemson versus Southern Methodist University, I would say it was about 80%, 75% full. Good chunk of the upper deck was empty. And so while it is a valuable TV product, it is really only at this point. I can't speak for the Big Ten. I've never been to a Big Ten championship game, so I can't speak for it. The ACC championship game may be a big deal for the television partners, but it is not this grandiose to-do like the SEC title game is. I don't know if the Big Ten title game is more like the ACC title game, more like the SEC title game, or if it just depends on who's playing in it.
I think it depends on who's playing in it.
Probably
I really
fair.
do. So if Clemson and North Carolina play this year, and they're both undefeated coming into that game because I don't know if they play each other or if each of them have like one loss, that's a big deal, and there would be a lot of people there.
You're probably right. You are probably right. There would probably be a more packed house. And again, I am not trying to write them off. They do play each other, by the way, on October 4th in Chapel Bill. I am not trying to write it off as a nothing burger by any stretch of the imagination. What I am saying is that at the end of the day, the objective is to make the most money out of the deal.
And also, we talked about this before, especially with expanding playoffs, people only have so much money and they have to decide, okay, do I want to go to this game or do I want to go to their actual playoff game if you know for sure they're making a playoff game?
Also true. And so if we expand to 14, 16, which I think is more likely, keeps you in that multiples of 4 so you can have no buys in the opening round. If we do expand to 16 games, and we do end up with, as I suspect that we will, the automatic qualifier system, the thought right now is that within a few years, we will end up at 16 teams. The SEC and Big Ten will each get 4 teams in. The ACC, the Big 12, will each get 2 teams in, and then we'll have a couple of other AQ paths elsewhere. Well, if the ACC is going to get 2 teams in, then theoretically both teams from the conference championship are going to go. And if both teams are going to go from the conference championship game, does that game hold the same weight with fans anymore? Does that game hold any sort of relevance to you if you look and you go, okay, North Carolina's playing Clemson for the ACC title game. Both of them have earned an AQ into the playoffs. Do we care anymore? Is that something we are going to jump into? Because that answer is going to determine if there are still conference championship games. The ACC will not want it to go away. The SEC will not want it to go away. The Big Ten, the Big 12, they will not want their championship games to go away because, as Pete Thamel just pointed out, they are still moneymakers for the conference, whether it is gate and revenue, whether it is, like in the case of the SEC, a week's worth of festivities that end up dominating downtown Atlanta, Georgia, whether it is the television broadcast partner revenue sharing, whatever the case might be. What would you look for? Like, what would be the thing that keeps it alive? And the answer is, do you guys keep watching and participating in conference championship games? If Clemson already has a bid, if they finish inside of that, let's say, top 8. By the way, Clemson really highly regarded by most of the early preseason prognostications. If they're a top 4, top 5 team, you know that AQ belongs to them. Number one, do you care about the ACC title game? Number two, while I do not think this would be the case with Dabo Swinney, how many teams would effectively throw a conference championship game in order to make sure that they are as healthy as possible when the playoffs start? Let's not take a risk that our Heisman finalist, wide receiver, running back, quarterback, whatever, pops an ACL in a game that if we win, we don't really get anything out of it. If we lose, it doesn't stop us from going to the playoffs. But if we lose a guy, if a guy can't go to the playoffs because he gets seriously hurt in that game, now all of a sudden we've lost a lot. So I get where Thamel's coming from. I agree with Thamel. I think there's going to be a lot of discussion about the viability of conference championship playoffs. I honestly think that the concept that Pete Thamel trotted out there is what is going to end up happening. It is going to be more of a playoff for the automatic qualifiers than it is going to be a conference championship game. In the SEC, 1v4, 2v3, winners of those two games are going. They got 4 buy-in spots. Does that even matter? Maybe they go 1 through 8. I don't know. I don't know how they play it out. But I do think within the next handful of years, conference championship games are going to become largely irrelevant. And I think that because they kind of already have. Clemson wins the ACC last year. What'd they get? They didn't get a special treatment in the playoff. They had to go on the road. They lost. SMU played and lost the ACC title game. What'd they get? A trip to the playoffs. Who cares, right? Let's take a break. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate. I think that one's old.
I mean, why do you think it's old?
Because that Braves game they talked about was not last night's. It was the night before's.
So the Braves had a game last night.
They did, but Marcell Ozuna did not homer last night. He homered the night before last. She didn't force her way onto that show, James. She actually declined an invite to that show, which is why I think she's trying to cook something bigger.
3772. That's 864-448-3772.
Did you know Ingles only sells USDA choice and prime cuts of meat? Maybe it's time to reward yourself. Our butchers cut all our meat fresh in the store every day. Grass-fed, organic, you name it. Not only that, we'll even cut it to order just the way you like it. And we grind meat fresh in the store multiple times a day.
Dylan, I'm picturing you in overalls playing a banjo, and it's just like a fever dream, I guess. I don't know. Can you play a banjo?
No.
Have you tried?
No.
Okay. So you could. You just haven't.
I mean, I could in that I have all 10 fingers
Well-
and a lap.
You can do the thumb thing, right?
Banjo ain't guitar.
Right. But you got to do the thumb thing with the picking thing, and yeah. You ever played a steel guitar before?
Only as a regular guitar. I've not had like the lay down one.
Sniff solo.
Wow. Wow. Let's play some audio here. Let's listen to some clips we picked up from the last couple of days. Start with this one. We played it a little earlier in the show. I want to play it again because I do think it's an interesting piece of audio. Pete Rose, along with Shoeless Joe Jackson and a handful of other players, coaches, etc., from the historical days of baseball, all of whom were barred from the game due to some influence of gambling, whether it was outright gambling on the games, whether it was throwing games in favor of those who did gamble on it, etc. Well, they all came off of the list yesterday, and that includes, as mentioned, Pete Rose. It also makes all of them, once again, eligible for inclusion into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. I'm fine with Shoeless Joe Jackson going in. Because what I do not like to do is take away the opportunity for people based on a presumption of guilt. Our entire system is set up to work on the presumption of innocence. Hence, the conversation ongoing nationally about due process. It is an important aspect of the foundations of this country. I do not want Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame because Pete Rose said he did what he did. And then Bob Nightingale of USA Today, senior baseball writer, brings up another very important aspect to the Hall of Fame conversation.
Pete Rose has been reinstated by Commissioner Rob Manfred, and all of a sudden he's now eligible to be in the Hall of Fame for the first time since he was suspended by baseball permanently in 1989. Well, permanently has been scrubbed now because he died last year, and Commissioner Rob Manfred said everybody deceased who's been banned before is now reinstated by Major League Baseball. Yes, this means everybody, 17 people involved in the 1919 Black Sox scandal when players deliberately threw games. Yes, this means that Shoeless Joe Jackson can be in the Hall of Fame, Eddie Chilcott can be in the Hall of Fame. So Pete Rose will be on the Hall of Fame ballot, the Veterans Committee ballot, in 2027. The fear now by this decision is that it opens the floodgates for everybody. For Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Alex Rodriguez, who had a year-long drug suspension, Manny Ramirez, on and on. It opens the door, potentially, for a whole lot of folks. If Rose gets in after violating the cardinal rule in sports by gambling on the sport, in this case, gambling while he was manager of the Cincinnati Reds, Why in the world would it stop people from using steroids to get in, whether you were caught or not? So, historic day in baseball. The way you look at it, could be a very dark day in baseball, too. This is Bob Nightingale from USA Today Sports.
Bob Nightingale saying if we are good with Pete Rose, who broke a cardinal rule of baseball, are we going to be good with other rules violators, cheaters and whatnot? Now, most of the steroid bros, guys like Barry Bonds, not banned from the Hall of Fame. There are other names that have been thrown out there, names like McGwire, Sosa, guys who got popped, but are not banned from the Hall of Fame. They have been largely kept out because of the baseball writers who have said, you may have been a great player. You may have been a great hitter. Hell, in the case of Barry Bonds may very well have been the greatest hitter of the baseball in the history of hitters of the baseball. But that does not guarantee you inclusion into the Hall of Fame. And Nightingale's point here is, if Pete Rose does end up getting into the Hall of Fame down the line, does that change the public perception about other folks? Does that change the public perception about people who did cheat, et cetera, et cetera? And I think that is going to be a very interesting conversation that is going to be had for a very long time. This is a clip I've been hanging on to for a while because I've been waiting, but we had the conversation earlier about how when it comes to the old hats, like, I'm a believer in old hat fans, of which I am becoming one. I'm aware. Old hat fans sometimes.
Becoming?
Yes, becoming. I'm 40.
Okay, all right.
I'm not set in my ways. I say no cap, bro.
When did the transition start?
February of this year. I mean, I feel it. It's like, you know how, at the beginning of the werewolf movie, the guy gets bit, and then there's supposed to, it's like an hour of him, starting to, feel little stuff, and, one time, his hand will crimp, and he's like, I don't know what this is, and then, eventually he'll be like, why am I growing so much hair out of my ears? That's literally happening to me, except I'm not becoming a werewolf. I'm becoming a guy who yells at kids outside being too loud, right? But sometimes we get a nice little refresher. We all know the Iceman, George Gervin, right? George Gervin, one of the greats of the NBA. Well, he was out in public the other day and was just having some conversations with some folks, including a young fella who was like, yo, can I ask you some questions? And George Gervin was like, yeah. And this exchange happened.
How many points would you average in today's game?
None.
Why not?
Because I couldn't play it.
What do you mean?
These guys are so much better than them guys.
What about the finger roll? You still have it today or no?
No, my finger roll broke.
It's broke?
Because, I had my turn. These guys turn and let them enjoy it like I enjoyed it when I had my turn.
Fair enough. Last thing, tell me if there was a three-point line when you were coming up, you wouldn't be shooting lights out from three-point range.
I shot a lot of twos.
I know.
I got my three-pointers and one.
I'm Team George Gervin forever. I love this guy. Hey, man, if you played in today's game, how many points could you score? He's like, none. Wait, none? Why? He goes, these dudes are so much better than us. So much better than us. The kid's like, well, that doesn't mean you couldn't play. And he's like, yo, I have my time. Let these young bucks have their time. Let the kids have their time. Let them enjoy it the way I enjoyed it. They are so much better than my class ever was. Just let them be them and stop trying to do the old man comparisons. That is spectacular. I love that from George Gervin. Todd Bodine was an old NASCAR racer. Used to race back in the day with Dale Earnhardt Sr. Well, Todd Bodine showed up on the Dale Earnhardt Jr. podcast a few days ago, which, by the way, tremendous listen. Even if you're not a NASCAR guy, tremendous listen. And he told this story about his interaction with Dale Sr.
Your dad was like 8th and I was 7th, and he was beating my bumper off and finally just moved me out of the way. He said he had enough. And we ended up going a lap down. We have a restart not many laps to go, probably 23 laps to go, something like that. Back then, lap down on the inside, lead lap outside. So we take off on the green. Here come your dad. He gets the outside of me. and I raced his ass as hard as I could race him. And I hung him on the outside for like 6 laps. Finally, he got by me, got in line. Park after the race in the garage. He come over, poked me in the chest, and now I'm scared to death. I think that, he's gonna, something's wrong here. Pokes me in the chest. He says, "Now that's how you do it. When some moves you out of the way, that's how you get back even at him." I was like, "Whoa, that was pretty damn cool."
I love that story. I love that story because we always get the intimidator side of the intimidator, right? We always get the intimidator style of Dale. We always get the discussions about, Dale would do this and he would do that and he would hit you here and he would do that. I love the stories about Dale Earnhardt Sr., the competitor. Dale Earnhardt Sr., the guy that'd walk up and be like, "Hey, you kicked my ass. Well done." Right? Like, to me, that's the mark of a champ. A dude who can take an L and walk up to somebody to beat him and go, "That's a hell of a job, kid. Well done. Love that." Michael Penix Jr. sat down to do an interview with CBS's Bryant McFadden, former player, and they decided to sit down at a little diner to do a little interview. And this exchange happened.
I'm from the South, so I like ketchup on my eggs and my grits.
I'm from Florida too, man. I don't know about
it's a weird
ketchup
thing.
on the grits.
Yeah, I got it from my granddaddy,
I've
man.
seen the ketchup on the eggs.
I put ketchup on everything. My grits, my eggs, my collard greens, rice.
Oh, nah, not the collard
beans.
greens.
Huh?
Not the collard greens.
Yeah.
Hot sauce?
Yeah, hot. You don't put ketchup on a hot dog?
On collard greens?
Collard greens.
I'll put
Cabbage?
hot sauce in them.
No.
If anything, not ketchup, man. Not on the collard greens.
Brian McFadden was so disturbed that Michael Penix Jr. puts ketchup on his collard greens. And I got to tell you, so am I. Collard greens? Ketchup on collard greens? Get out.
First of all, ketchup and grits, I have no problem with that because grits taste like nothing. And if you like grits, then you like eating nothing. But ketchup on collard greens, that's weird.
Is that a bridge too far even for you? I think it is.
I'm trying to figure out. So if your collard greens have like mustard grease on them, or how have you cooked them? Are they crisp greens, or are they swimming in something? So if they're swimming in something, whatever that may be, then you put the ketchup in there. You basically made soup.
Even on dry, like even if they're like steamed or
but see
fried.
that's just like having lettuce on your hamburger and it touches your ketchup. I don't have a problem with that. But if it's I'd have to see how they're prepared.
I can accept that as fair. Let's do one more. We talked a lot, and we may bring this back up in the next hour. We talked a lot about the NBA draft lottery that took place 2 nights ago. Dallas Mavericks 1.8% opportunity to get the number 1 overall seed, and they do. Bill Simmons loves the NBA. Bill Simmons puts my love of the NBA to shame. Bill Simmons yesterday on his pod decided he wanted to go pull an old sound clip. This clip dates back to the day after Luka Doncic got traded to the Lakers. And he said this.
I'll make a prediction because we saw this in 2011 when Cleveland miraculously won the lottery the year after LeBron left. I just think Dallas wins the lottery now. I'm going to bet on it.
No.
I'm going to bet on it on FanDuel.
No.
Yeah, I'm betting on it.
Way.
Dallas wins the lottery.
No way.
Yeah. This
Absolutely
is
not.
We got safe basketball in Dallas. Oh, they got Cooper Flag. Everything's okay.
Bill Simmons said the day after the Luka Doncic trade, I'm going to take a bet out that the Dallas Mavericks end up winning this lottery. I'm going to take a bet out that the Mavs end up with Cooper Flag. And he nailed that shot. Nailed it. I said yesterday, I did a little video on it. I'll probably talk more about it later on today. I genuinely want to believe that the NBA draft lottery is not rigged. And by the way, there is a video going around now. Apparently, you actually can watch the lottery balls be drawn. They actually don't do it live. And the NBA's reason for not doing it live apparently is that it just doesn't make for as compelling television to have the lottery balls come up, because they got to do like the number sequence and all that. And they said it's not compelling television to do that live. And so that is why they decided to do it behind closed doors and then just air the results later.
That's bullcrap. Yeah, that's what that is. Okay. Yeah.
That it's rigged or that it can't be?
That's not entertaining. Yeah. What's everyone?
I feel like the lottery balls would be more entertaining.
Yes. That's what everyone, a lot of people are saying, hey, show us the process. Let us see it. You can still cheat at it. You absolutely can.
Yeah, there's always going to be the what is it, the ice bullets conspiracy theory, you know? JFK got shot with an ice bullet. That's why they couldn't find it.
The balls can be weighted in such a way where certain ones will come up each time. I mean, there are ways around it. I don't know, you put a chip in the ball and or magnets. I mean, there are ways to make it work in your favor if you want to cheat, but at least put it out in the public so you at least eliminate one part of the complaints.
Yeah, you can go watch the actual drawing of the lottery balls. It's up on YouTube. You can just go watch it. But again, like, it's just one of those things where...
You don't know when they actually filmed that, though, right?
Well, it's supposed to be part of the auditing process of Ernst & Young, who, and I do have to say, as somebody who is looking for reasons for this not to be a conspiracy theory, that's $1 billion company with its reputation on the line, and if ever comes out that the NBA was rigging it right under their nose.
You know, someone brought up on the overnight show, and I heard as I was prepping that there was a certain guy who rode bikes and got away with cheating forever, and there's a way to cheat at anything, and those people supposedly were looking at every test he took. Talking about Lance Armstrong. And checking every single thing. People can be bought. People can look the other way. People have allegiances that make them want to go, okay, we'll let this go. There's a way to cheat at anything if you try hard enough.
Yeah, and the thing I said yesterday to a buddy of mine was, here's the other thing. If you're the first person to cheat in a particular way, they don't know what to look for. Right? So who the hell knows? All I know is the optics right now are not good. I know we're late, but I'm going to play this one, and I'm going to play this one because I know that Lonzo is going to love this clip. It's very short. Timberwolves practicing the other day. Rudy Gobert sitting on the side of the court giving a one-on-one interview to some media member. And Joe Ingles, one of the players on the Wolves, found the PA microphone in their arena.
What's been the process figuring that out?
I think being able to play over physicality.
Rudy Gobert does his damnedest to keep going with that interview while Joe Ingles is in the background on the PA mic dropping nightmare fuel. He's going to hear that in his sleep.
I'm guessing you never worked at a grocery store before. Back in the day, there were PA mics at the cashiers. You know, where you clean up in aisle 3, that kind of thing. I got in trouble a couple times. That's all I'm saying.
I respect it. Listen, I've been around PA mics, and usually, for some reason, like, I keep getting handed microphones.
It's an attraction. You can't have.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, I got. Okay.
Sometimes we just turn into kids, and we're gonna have some fun, like my man Joe Ingles, which is incredible.
They also have CBs that do that too.
Yeah,
I'm
all in. That's a blast. My man giving Rudy Gobert nightmares. Shout out to Rudy Gobert, who was like, no, I'm going to finish this interview. But he's going to hear Rudy in his sleep for months. Nice job, Joe Ingles. That's a prank I get behind. You know what else I stand behind? Lonzo Sports Flashes.
He doesn't really. He leaves the room.
I leave the room every time.
That's not really standing behind. The South Carolina Gamecock baseball team finished their non-conference slate with a 6-5 win over Winthrop at home yesterday. Jackson Susie struck out 2 and gave up 3 hits and 1 run through 4 innings. The Gamecock season concludes with a 3-game set against LSU at home this weekend. The Atlanta Braves have officially reached 500 record with a 5-2 win over Washington yesterday at home. Spencer Schwellenbach got the win with a 7-inning, 4-hit, 2-run performance, striking out 3. The Braves are now 21-21 and 3.5 games back of Philadelphia for second in the division. The Indiana Pacers eliminated the number 1 seed Cleveland Cavaliers last night with a 114-105 win. Tyrese Halliburton had 31 points, and Pascal Siakam had 21 with 8 boards. Cleveland missed 11 free throws, including 3 in a row from Donovan Mitchell in the closing minutes of a very tight game. That'll do it, Joe. Yeah, I got more in trouble for testing the integrity of the speakers. Seeing if the voice of God could cause all the speakers to explode. Because other people don't know how to talk into a microphone, and I did, and it was, yeah. Also, there used to be someone who worked on the station. Every time they would do a live remote, they would smile right before they started doing their show because they knew they were going to scare Minnie. Yes. And he would play it off like he didn't understand why it scared people, even though there might have been a wink or two in there.
So I work, obviously, in multiple arenas for local teams, doing different stuff, hype videos, whatever. The guy at the hockey games, who has been running their board since I started working there, he has told me multiple times, when you're on a mic, I have to watch you on the camera because I can see when you're about to get loud to turn your slider down and then back up when you're going back into normal voice. I did a soccer game. I did the opening day soccer game for the Triumph this year, their halftime show. I got done. I was going out to the car, and this guy walks over, and he goes, hey, I run the board upstairs. He goes, I have never in my life had to drop a slider down as fast as I did when you started talking today. And I was like, well, you're going to get used to that, buddy.
They should talk to me. Although I warn people, they just don't. They're just, when a new person is on the pulse and you come on, I warn them. And it's still like they just got electric shocked. It was a lot of fun to watch, though. Yes. Of course, he would laugh that much at that, Joe. Of course he would. I knew exactly what he was laughing about, too.
Because I'm 40 and I would do that today.
Yes.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. The Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the Great Malonzo, and you. Be a part of the radio program, 844-326-3663. That's the number to the Hub City Spartanburger text line, 844-326-3663. You can jump on board via the text line, as the texter did, who said, Rob, my wife puts ketchup on black-eyed peas. She's a degenerate. I don't like that at all. I don't like that in the least.
Although, is that like maybe the ketchup is like salad dressing? I mean, how are the black-eyed peas made? Are they cooked? Are they still in some sort of juice?
Juice?
I don't know.
Bean juice?
Bean juice, yes.
I did just verify and double check that is not Alex Guest and Mrs. Alex Guest, because that would have been that might have been friendship threatening.
Well, you guys need to leave her alone. You guys pick on her all the time.
That might have been friendship threatening at that point. All right. I would like to spend a couple of minutes talking quarterbacks. And I would like to spend a couple of minutes talking quarterbacks because over the past 2 days, I have seen 2 similar headlines that have propped up. One of them I saw prop up, Lenoir Sellers stays gaining motion in NFL circles. The other one I saw prop up was NFL draft analysts like Cade Klubnik early on in the process. I have seen both of these quarterbacks in action. I have seen brilliance out of both of these quarterbacks. And I have seen moments of that's got to be cleaned up out of both of these quarterbacks. And I think for different reasons. I think to some degree, for instance, Cade Klubnik, a lot of that has had to do with the fact that Clemson hasn't really been wide receiver U lately. Clemson really hasn't been a team that has had the targets on the outside that I think would help Cade Klubnik survive. For Lenoir Sellers, obviously, it's simply the fact that the dude hasn't had a ton of experience under his belt to lean on. Now he's gotten some of that experience. Both of them have gotten NFL draft people excited for different reasons. I said this to Brad Evans and Ryan Horvat last night, not on the air. We were talking off the air after the interview was over. Every Tuesday night, I do a national spot with Brad and Ryan on BetMGM tonight, along with their producer, Hayden Ass Mario, who will join us, obviously, on tomorrow's show. We'll talk NBA playoffs, including his Indiana Pacers moving on, eliminating the Cavs last night. We're going to talk about those 2 games coming up in the next segment. But I said this to both of them off the air last night, and I would not be shocked if it becomes a topic of conversation with myself and Ryan Horvat Friday evening when I fill in on BetMGM tonight for Brad, who is out. Never too early to take a Heisman Trophy bet if you're a gambling person. And I told Ryan last Friday, and this is going to be a conversation that comes up again, I think, this Friday. I'm probably going to go ahead and take a bet out on both of these cats to win the Heisman. I think I'm probably going to take a bet out on both of them. Cade Klubnik is sitting around, I believe, 7.5 to 1 to win the Heisman. Lenoir Sellers is sitting somewhere around 25 to 1. So he's a much longer long shot. But I also point out that there's only about 15 players that are on the board this early as selections. Just being on that board in May is pretty impressive. So, the question I will have for you, Gamecock fans, the question I have for you, Tiger fans, is this. Do either one of you fan bases, do both of you fan bases, believe that the team has been put in place around these 2 cats to get them to where you think they should be? And where do you think that they should be? Those are the questions that I would like you to answer for me today. I have one big concerning question about Clemson. The big concerning question is this. You worked the portal. You did a decent job in the portal. I am curious about the run game for Clemson because I do think one of the valuable tools in Cade Klubnik's arsenal is obviously the ability to run the ball. Why do I say that? Well, A, obviously we've seen him do it. But B, because the last 2 years running, we have had Dabo Swinney on this show, whether it was at ACC Media Days or after a game, etc. We've had Dabo on the show. We've talked to him about Cade Klubnik. We have said, what do you want to see him continue to do? What would you like to see him change up? And both times, Dabo Swinney had the same answer. I want him to run the gosh darned football, has been the answer. If your head coach is asking your passing quarterback to run the ball more, that is a weapon. Even when you have running quarterbacks, you have coaches more often than not who say, I would love a world where he never has to run. I would love a world where we are giving him the protection. I would love a world where we have guys that are getting open. I would love a world where they don't have to run. But most guys have to. Dabo Swinney is one of the few coaches I've ever heard that has not just asked his quarterback to run more. Last year's ACC Media Days, I was working solo in the AM on the final day of Media Days. It's always Clemson's day on the final day. I was working solo the final day of ACC Media Day. And on that final day, I had the opportunity to interview both Cade Klubnik and Dabo Swinney. I interviewed Cade first. I asked him if coming into last season, he anticipated running the ball more. Cade's answer was pretty generic quarterback. Well, I'd really love to not have to, but if I need to, then I certainly will. I had Dabo Swinney on the next segment. Dabo was doing an interview with me while Cade and a couple of the other players were just standing next to the table because Dabo was the last interview before they headed over to do their state of the program address to the media at large. And I asked Dabo while Cade was standing right there. And I asked him, address this to Cade. He's right here. What do you want to see more of? What do you want to see less of? What do you want to see him do differently coming into this year? And he looked away from me over to Cade Klubnik and said, I'm going to keep kicking him in the butt to get him to use his legs. I'm going to keep kicking him in the butt to get him to run the football. And I think that's about as telling as you're going to get out of a guy like a Dabo Swinney. So why do I bring up the run game? Well, number one, I think it is because if this is going to be a year where Cade Klubnik finds his way to the Heisman Trophy celebration at the Downtown Athletic Club in New York City, a lot of that's going to have to do with his ability to run the ball.
How cool would it be to have Cade and Lenoris there?
And that's where I'm going. That's exactly where I'm going. I think there is a good chance that the state of South Carolina this year could be home to not one, but two Heisman Trophy finalists. I think it could be home to a Heisman Trophy winner and a Heisman Trophy finalist. Now, I'm hyping on Clemson right now. I'm going to come to Lenora Sellers and the Gamecocks here in just a minute. But this is an interesting year. And the reason it's interesting is the complaints about Clemson the last couple of years have been what? Not a great wide receiver room and we'll say, didn't live up to expectations offensive line. Not bad. Not bad. Not as bad as what Lenoris played in front of a couple of games, but not living up to the expectations. Well, you got a good transfer class. You got a much better offensive line. In fact, most of your offensive line is back from last year with a year's worth of experience in front of Cade Klubnik under the belt. And you have absolutely upgraded the wide receiver room. That's not up for discussion. Bryant Wesco Jr. is going to be back and healthy. Antonio Williams has as much expectation on him as anybody else in the game. TJ Moore is a sophomore, is going to be moving to the X spot. He's got big play potential. You got Tristan Smith, the transfer in, who Dabo seems to really like. You got Tyler Brown, who is a big play threat for this team. There is a very much upgraded wide receiver room. To the point I'd almost say you might be set there. Clemson may very well enter this year with the best wide receiving core in the ACC. The question mark is, are they going to be able to run the football? That is, to me, the one thing that is going to stand between Cade Klubnik and a potential trip to the Heisman Trophy celebration at the end of the year. You bring in a freshman, Gideon Davidson, who you got a bunch of people saying could emerge as one of the nation's premier first-year rushers. You've got a guy that the expectations are starter as a freshman. You're getting starts as a freshman, it means one of two things. Either A, you are really standout good, or B, that team's got nothing else to work with, right? Because there's not a lot of old sayings that hang around that modern coaches still believe in. Bear Bryant said at one point, you can count a loss for every freshman you have to start. Teams don't want to start. Coaches don't want to start freshmen. They will if they have to, but they don't want to. This kid showed up, has not strapped on the helmet for a real game yet, is already RB1. If Gideon is able to be that guy that a lot of people think might, possibly, question mark, might end up being a legitimate threat in the ACC, that gives them the run game. The offensive line has the one thing that I think mattered the most coming into this year, which is some experience on it that they just didn't have last year, especially with Cade at the QB spot, and you have dramatically upgraded the wide receiver room. I told Ryan Horvat on nationally syndicated radio last Friday that I think people are going to be a little bit shocked and taken aback by what Cade Klubnik is going to be for this team this year. Then there's Lenoris Sellers and the Gamecocks of South Carolina. Another team I'm super interested in. I am interested in Lenoris Sellers as a Heisman Trophy finalist exclusively because of his athleticism. I have looked around some preseason power rankings. Almost all of the college voices that I follow and respect, not the hot take artist, but the ones that I go, these people know their stuff and they know good work. I put Josh Pate in that category. I like Josh Pate a lot. Josh Pate has South Carolina in his post-spring rankings. Post-spring. Got a lot of time between here and week 0. In his post-spring ratings, Josh Pate has South Carolina checked in at number 18 in the country. Not in the South, in the country. You have got obviously some fall off at defense. Nicky Manwari got drafted. Kyle Kennard got drafted. TJ Sanders. These guys have all moved on. There's going to be question marks at defense. I have said a couple of times in the way too early prognostication about the Gamecock season. It's a good thing you got Lenoris Sellers, because if the Gamecocks are going to have that 8-4 record that I think is not an elevated expectation. I think 8-4 is the expectation. Is 8-4 a fair expectation? I think it is this year.
Absolutely.
I think even with the schedule they have, I think 8-4 is a fair expectation this year. I think 9 wins is a realistic possibility. I don't think 10 is a pipe dream. I think 10's in the cards. Going to depend on, is Lenoris a Heisman Trophy finalist? If the answer to that question is yes, I absolutely think 10 wins is an optimistic reality. 9 is a realistic reality. 8-4 is the bottom line for me. Anything less than 8-4 is a disappointment. And a lot of that is going to be about, what does this offense look like? Dow Loggins moved on. He is now the head coach at Appalachian State. Shane Beamer promoted Mike Shula, the former Alabama coach and NFL offensive coordinator, to take over that unit and work with Lenoris Sellers. Is Mike Shula a guy that's going to get the most out of Lenora Sellers? Did you give him the weapons on the outside? Texter said, Gamecock's one of only 3 schools who signed 3 or more blue chip prospects at wide receiver, plus Bennett, Harbor. Both those guys can be in New York City. Nick Harbor is going to have to be a major part of the weaponry this year. You have got a dude that is too big, too fast, and too talented not to be a focus. But the question mark is going to be very similar as it was to Clemson. Do you have a run game to back up Lenora Sellers? Is this offensive line going to be improved? And are you going to have in a grad transfer, and Russell Faison, are you going to have a guy that comes over from Utah State that can step in and replace Raheem Sanders? How many situations did Rocket Sanders bail you out of last year? A lot. And that was with Lenoris at the helm. But with Nick Harbor, with Jared Brown, with Mizio Bennett, with, as pointed out there, what do you got? I think there's 5 incoming freshman wide receivers in this room. Can I get one of them to step up? And then can I run the ball? Because just like with Cade Klubnik, both of these guys talented enough with the legs, talented enough with the athleticism to run their way to New York if they can't throw it there. I think it is more likely Lenora Sellers will have to. He will have to play that Lamar Jackson hybrid style. I want to throw it, but I'm deadly with the legs if I have to. Cade, I'd like to think he's going to go get himself 1,500 yards passing without it. We'll find out. I think these two guys are eerily similar. And I will say what Lonzo said at the beginning of the segment. I think it is a realistic possibility. If you'd have told me this 5 years ago when I got here that I would say the sentence, I probably would have laughed. I think it is a realistic possibility that the state of South Carolina sends 2 Heisman finalists, and they are rivals to New York City at the end of the year. Is that optimistic? Probably. Is it possible? You're rootin' tootin' right it is. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
3 friends.
All right, guys, quick live coming right back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. It's still Pete Rose's ghost. He's still
You
messing.
say one thing about Pete Rose.
He's still messing with you, man.
You know, every morning I get up and I write out an outline for this show, and I say we're going to talk about this here and that there and this here and that there. And then, you know, sometimes stuff happens. Stuff happens that pops into your life that you see it and you go, yeah, no, this is my priority now.
All right, before you do this, I don't think this is real, but I guess it could be.
This was just released. I don't know if it was last night or this morning.
I saw it earlier, but I saw it on another source that I didn't recognize, so I didn't think it was real.
I need you all, if you are not currently with us on the stream, I need you to come to the stream right now. Even if it's only for a couple of minutes, take a second, open your phone, get on your laptop, go to your work PC, whatever you got to do. I need you all to join us on the live stream. And again, like, our priority is radio, not the stream. You people on the stream, you get the added benefit of looking at us and our handsome faces every single day. But for right now, for those of you that are radio only, I need you to find a way to get to the stream, because I am about to put something up on our live stream that I just saw for the first time during this past break. And I need you all to know that when I saw this thing, my gut reaction out loud was, what? What the hell am I looking at right now?
My gut reaction was, that's not real. That's pretty funny. But what if it is real? I don't know.
I believe that this photo that I am about to put up on the screen was released by the movie the picture was released by the movie studio that is producing the John Madden movie. They are making what I thought was like an origin story film. Like there's been a
It's
spike.
real. Deadline.
I thought it was.
Deadline released it. So yeah, it's real. And GameSpot and Entertainment Weekly. Yeah.
Let's tell the people what we're talking about here. There's a
Wow.
John Madden movie that is coming out very soon. It is a biopic, whatever, about John Madden.
I think it's biopic.
It dates back to John Madden's time as the head coach of the then Oakland Raiders, working with then alive and owner of the team, Al Davis. And as it is about John Madden working with Al Davis, as Tiger Truther shows up in the stream and says, I've been summoned. I'm glad you're here, Tiger Truther. You're about to revel in the greatness of what I am about to share with you, the masses. Ladies and gentlemen of the stream, and if you're not on the stream, I'm sorry. We'll describe it in as much detail as we can, but I cannot, the wordsmith that I am, I cannot paint for you the picture to describe the greatness that I am looking at right now. We have now gotten the first look at Christian Bale as Al Davis, and more importantly, Nicolas Cage as a young John Madden.
All right, so it's bothersome how good Cage looks. Is it just the hair, or is his face that plump already and we just didn't notice because he has cool hair, but now that he has John Madden hair, suddenly his face looks like plump John Madden face? Is that makeup? I don't know, but the hair, it's the hair, dude. The hair, that's John Madden hair. If I put John Madden hair on Rob Brown, would Rob Brown look like John Madden? It's in my head now. If you Photoshop, please help.
This, in fairness, my hair's not that far off from this right now.
Oh, no, your hair looks, I mean, it's not like that.
This photo of Nicolas Cage as John Madden and of Christian Bale, which, by the way, I'm not going to lie, I thought that was Michael Fassbender for a second. Like, he looks more like Michael Fassbender playing Al Michaels.
I thought he'd be taller, so that's probably what's throwing me.
Nicolas Cage dressed as John Madden, and he is in the, 70s throwback textured pants with the leather braided belt, the old school big fat collar Raiders rain jacket over a very disco shirt.
I was gonna say it looks good.
It looks great.
Reminds me of my childhood.
Davis in one of those, and I will give Al Davis this. As a young man, Al Davis looked like a badass back in the day. Pictures of young Al Davis look like a badass. And he's got that vibe going here. They're both holding out their Raider championship rings from back in the day, standing on the field in what I imagine is the old Raider Stadium, Coliseum, whatever it was. Nicolas Cage has a face I can only describe as my face before I lost 60 pounds. He's round.
See, I don't know. See, now I want to compare a picture of like his trailer for Spider Noir just came out. I'd like to compare the two and see if his face is the same and if it's just the hair. My theory, it's just the hair.
I don't know. I don't know if this is prosthetic face fat. I don't know if he went method actor and knocked back 1,000 Mickey D's double quarter pounders.
Like he's a little heavier there. He
does look heavy.
Yeah.
And you know, I will tell you this. I'm trying to remember what the clip was. It was a couple of weeks ago. I found a clip on the internet of Harrison Ford after Captain America came out, Brave New World. And of course, Harrison Ford in that movie, spoiler alert, plays the Red Hulk.
No way.
I know. And in that movie, in order to capture the essence of Harrison Ford as the Red Hulk, they did motion capture, which is they put all the little dot things on your face, and then they have you do the acting, and then they basically take your body movements, and then they plug it into the computer and turn you into whatever. And so they asked Harrison Ford because they found a bunch of clips of Harrison Ford during the mocap for the Red Hulk where he's screaming as the Red Hulk, and it looks very awkward. And the interviewer says to Harrison Ford, how did you get over the awkwardness of being on set, having to act as the Hulk, but just being Harrison Ford? And Harrison Ford leans up and he goes, I don't mean to break your bubble here. It's the money. They paid me a lot to do that. Right? Which is the most Harrison Ford answer ever. I don't know how much Nick Cage is getting paid to do this movie, but if Nick Cage decided that he was going to go knock back a few thousand double quarter pounders with cheese to put on the John Madden weight and get this vibe, because I got to tell you, it came up, and I looked, and I had to because I'm 40 and I wear glasses, move my face closer to the computer to be like, is that?
Yeah, see.
Is that really Nick Cage?
Yeah, I saw it too, and that's the first thing I noticed was that looks like Nick Cage. It is Nick Cage. And then I recalled hearing that he was going to be playing Madden and laughing about it because Nick Cage does 2 to 4 movies a year.
Yeah. Because, again, they pay him for it.
And he says it keeps him out of the bars and stuff.
Why not?
And just,
I mean, listen.
He likes to work.
If you like to work, I like to work. I do shows all the time. I'm doing another show this Friday night.
Nick Cage is probably caught up with some of the, Christopher Walken and Morgan Freeman.
Gotta be
and
close.
Some of those guys, yeah.
My wife and Lonzo both repeatedly tell me, you can say no. And it's I don't like to. I like to say yes. I like to work. I get to sit in a chair on my ass and talk about football, basketball, baseball, soccer, hockey for a living. I don't mind working, making some extra cheddar. Nick Cage likes to work. I respect that. But it appears that he has gone full Daniel Day-Lewis on the method acting here. He has just become John Madden. And I don't know why. Because, I was going to see this movie anyway, right? I think all of us football guys were 100% going to go see this movie. It might have been one that I waited till it, and I don't even know what service it's coming. I don't know if it's on a service. I don't know if it's going to be in theaters. I don't know where it's being distributed. It might have been one of those movies that, I tell the wife, I'm going to go to a movie, and she goes, well, I want to go to a movie, and we end up going to see a different movie, and I just wait till the movie I want to see comes out on streaming, right? I'm going to see this in theaters immediately because of this picture. This picture is incredible. This picture is beyond belief. This picture popped up.
It's being filmed in Atlanta. So, I mean, you could see heavyset Nick Cage with that hair possibly visiting some Atlanta restaurants right now.
Dude, I want nothing more than to know that fat Nick Cage is rolling around the ATL seeing how much he can get away with as fat Nick Cage. I also want to know, because Nick Cage has a very particular acting style, right? Like, Nick Cage is just Nick Cage. They made a movie about Nick Cage being Nick Cage, acting as Nick Cage, but the real life Nick Cage. He's very Nick Cage. He's just a typecast guy. He's all the time he's Nicolas Cage. Is he going to be able to turn that off to be lovable, jovial John Madden? Is he going to be able to turn off the Nick Cage?
Yeah, he can do that. He's been lovable in movies before.
As Joey B said, are we going to get I'm going to steal the Lombardi Trophy out of Nick Cage?
By the way, this movie is being directed by David O. Russell, who directed Silver Linings Playbook, The Fighter, and American Hustle.
Of which I'm going to keep it a buck. I've seen none of them.
Me either, but I've heard
they're all really good.
Yeah, I've heard they're good, so, I'm just saying he's reputable.
Silver Linings Playbook. That was the one with Jennifer Lawrence
Dude,
and...
Yeah,
Jennifer Lawrence.
I just heard of it before.
Was it McConaughey? I think it was Lawrence and McConaughey. I think. And I've heard it was really good. I've heard The Fighter's really good. What was the other one you mentioned?
I don't know. I already took it down.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I've heard all those movies are good. I haven't seen any of them. I saw this picture. I had to lean into the computer to be like, is that legitimately Nick Cage? And it absolutely is. It absolutely is. It's fat Nick Cage. And by the way, Christian Bale looks like a badass as Al Davis.
See, my thing is, I'm trying to remember who was on the team, the Super Bowl team that year, and what actors are going to play those guys.
I'm intrigued.
I think Matuzak was on there and some guys like that.
I honestly thought, I don't know why, I don't know if I have any reason for this. I thought that this movie was, I thought this movie was about the game. I thought it was like we had the BlackBerry and the Tetris movies and all that. And apparently people seem to love those. I thought this was about the Madden video game. Apparently it's about John Madden. Fat Nick Cage! I'm all in. I'll leave the picture up for a minute on the stream if you haven't seen it. It's worth the look, or just Google it. You can do that if you want. But, come hang out with us on the stream. When we come back here in just a moment from right now, we have got some details that have emerged about the spring college portal window and the single transfer portal window. I think you'll like them. We'll see when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Yeah, again, I saw that earlier. I was like, that's good. That's someone. I'm still seeing the baby thing all over the place. So I'm just like, just like I saw a baby Macho Man earlier.
I saw that
holding the cream bottle, and it's like
there's an account now that is doing famous movie scenes as AI babies. And as much as I'm not going to lie, I despise the AI baby trend right now.
Because you hate babies.
I watched like 12 of them. They were hilarious. They were genuinely funny.
And it's using the original audio. It's just, it's disturbing.
They're voicing actors with babies that look like the actor or dress like the actor.
Yeah, I just saw Cheers earlier. They should not have done that because Norm still has wrinkles as a baby. It's weird.
The actor playing Guy Gardner in Superman would look great as Mark Davis. You're right. You're right.
It's just the hair.
Don't even have to change that haircut.
You've seen that actor a bunch of times in a ton of
Who
movies.
is it? I forget the guy's name.
Yeah. He was, and then he was, and then of course he was, it's just because Serenity, he's in The Rookie. I don't know why his name
Nathan Fillion.
Nathan Fillion. There you go.
He's in all the nerd stuff.
It was very funny.
Yeah.
He's snarky.
That trailer for the new Superman trailer or Peacemaker trailer is hilarious. You guys know I can hear you, right?
How many more of these have we got? Yeah. And popcorn does not put weight on your butt. Unless you're going nuts on the butter, which he might have been doing. I don't know.
Is there a point to eating movie theater popcorn if you don't get extra butter?
Yeah, I mean it's got a taste to its own without the extra butter. But why get the extra butter now when most theaters have the thing where you just walk around and have a butter station where you can do your own butter?
My wife hates my expression. Whenever we go to the movie theater, or whenever we go to a bar or whatever, I will always say, and I hate that I say it, and I can't stop myself from saying it. Whenever they go, I'll go large popcorn and give me as much butter as you're legally allowed to put on it.
Wow.
I know, and I say it every time.
And you're saying it to kids who look at you like, old man, I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I have to now tell Cameron, it's like, Cameron, he didn't get it. Let's just keep going. And Mike, have I gotten that much older? Yes, you have. You forget what it's like to be 16, working somewhere and have no idea what's going on. Other than they say push button, I push button.
I have found that with like kids working in movie theaters, if I'm nice to them, they will load me up with the butter. The guy that did it when we went to see the Thunderbolts, I've never appreciated a movie theater guy more. He grabbed the bucket, because the wife and I both love the extra butter, so we just get one big bucket. He grabbed the bucket, so he walked over, he did one scoop of popcorn, he walked over, he did butter. He walked back, scoop of popcorn, walked over. He did this 4 times. He gave me layer, butter, layer, butter, layer. That was buttery perfection all the way to the bottom of the bucket. You know how you get to the bottom of the bucket, and usually it's like it's dry, and like you're getting the burnt popcorn? Oh, no.
Did you wipe your hands on her hair?
No,
I mean, did you get napkins?
Because I'm not a savage.
Okay, I don't know.
But what I will say, and more than even the effort with the butter, what I appreciated was that when I told him I wanted popcorn, I was only here for the popcorn, and I wanted all the butter he could give me. He goes, "Can you wait 2 minutes?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And he goes, "Just wait 2 minutes. I'm going to ring everything up." And he waited until the next popcorn pop thing happened and gave me the freshest popcorn off the top with the extra butter.
Maybe he knew who you were.
A proposal for new spring college football calendar was shared with coaches at the ACC spring meetings yesterday, according to Yahoo Sports' Ross Dellinger. It would include adding 6 contactless OTA-style practices and a single transfer portal window, which continues to be discussed for either January, March, or April. Dellinger writes that under the proposal shared with multiple ACC coaches, the OTA-like practices would likely be in May or June. The limit of 15 spring practices would stay in place, meaning teams would now have 21 total practices, counting the contactless OTA style. Another version of the plan also included the ability to spread those practices over 2 5-week periods between February and April and late May into June. Regardless, a decision is not expected until one comes to a single transfer portal window, as well as the House v. NCAA settlement, which is, of course, what we are all waiting for right now. But apparently, again, according to Ross Dellinger, the idea of OTA-style practices gained steam this past spring as programs around the country opted not to hold traditional spring scrimmages. Many around college football also called for a potential change to the calendar due to the expanded college football playoff, including Ohio State coach Ryan Day, as his team came off a national championship victory over Notre Dame. As for the transfer portal, current rules call for 2 windows, one in the winter after the final CFP rankings announcement and another during the spring. However, coaches don't want the portal to open during the spring, according to Pete Nakos of On3 Sports. Instead, they want one singular window. Quoted in the article on On3 Sports is South Carolina head coach Shane Beamer, who said, quote, "I'm certainly in favor of shortening the portal windows. I'm not anti-portal. We've benefited from the portal, but people don't need 2 different portal windows that cover around 6 weeks to decide that they want to transfer from somewhere. You either want to be a part of that program or you don't." The decision obviously will not come down until after the House settlement. The revisions were presented last week to Judge Claudia Wilkin. We are still waiting to hear a ruling. The plaintiffs and defendants agreed to a plan to allow schools to opt into grandfather spots on rosters for athletes who were set to lose those spots during the settlement. The deadline to file objections to the revision is this Friday, and then it will be up to Claudia Wilkin to decide whether the agreement warrants final approval or not. I would like to say, I understand from a coach's perspective why they want one window. The only thing I really have from the quote from Beamer and really from this article as a whole. The only thing I really have is the whole, you only need one window to decide if you want to be a part of this program or not. Things change. I would be fine with getting rid of the winter window. I would be fine with getting rid of a window that happens before the college football playoffs do. I don't understand whose bright idea it was to come up with a calendar that includes a transfer portal window. You get 2 chances to decide that you want to go somewhere else. And one of those chances is while football teams are still actively competing, right? So, I guess if you want to put it on the kids of, well, you either want to be with this program and play through the title or you don't. So if you don't, go and get the hell up out of here. And, of course, colleges can say, yeah, we'll let you transfer, but you can still finish out the season. We've seen that happen once before. But I don't like the calendar with the window. I'm fine, honestly, with 2 windows because as much as Shane has simplified it here, and I think for a coach like Shane Beamer, whom I have not heard, even from the transfers out, I have not heard a single player say a negative thing about the locker room culture of South Carolina. But that may not be true about every locker room. Things change. Attitudes change. Coaching staffs change. NIL rules change. There are 1,000 things that impact players that could change on a dime. This whole thing of, you're either in or you're out. Well, I might be in right now and I might be out in 6 months, right? If my boss comes to me in 2 months, I love everything about working here right now. That's why I've been here 5 years. I love everything about working here right now. But if my boss comes to me in 3 weeks and he goes, hey, Rob Brown, you are only allowed to talk about college football. No NBA, no NFL, no MLS, no NHL, no tennis, no Olympics, no nothing. You are only allowed to talk about college football from this point forward. That would be a massive change to what I have been all in for 5 years now. So I'm good with 2 windows. I just think it's real dumb to have one that takes place while the college football playoffs are still active. I think that has got to change. I think you could do fine with having a spring window, right? Like the current spring window as it is, and then maybe like a midsummer window. Right? Like after kids go through the spring camp. I think it is fair to say that the rosters should be locked in well ahead of fall camps. I think it's fine. I like adding these practices. I don't have any issue with adding the OTA style practices to allow colleges to have extra 21 spring practices. I'm good with that. There's nothing about that seems like a negative idea to me. You got more opportunity for coaches to be familiar with the team. You got more opportunity for the kids on the team to become a team. You got more opportunity with everybody to familiarize themselves with each other, with the program, with the way things are going to be run, with the things that have changed from last year to this year. I think that is fantastic. I also think you open up a second window. I think you should have a spring window. Then you should have the spring camps, these extra OTA practices and the 15 practices that are already allowed, and then open up the window again. Let the kids who go through the spring and go, this ain't for me. This place, this coach, this system, this NIL amount, whatever their rationale is, let those kids decide after spring, but before fall, no, I'm good. I'm out. I've had enough. This is not where I want to be. And then they can be somewhere else in the fall. You can replace them in that same window. You can have your roster finalized by the fall. And then when fall rolls around, once that that summer window is closed, wango bango, everybody's on a team. You are locked on this roster until the spring window opens up next time around. It's not like it feels to me, obviously a lot of this, as we mentioned, is based on the House settlement. But some of this stuff, it genuinely feels to me like some of this stuff is just, we overcomplicate it so much and so unnecessarily.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
All right, time to find out what the X is going on. The first thing that's Xing Rob Brown is Salma Hayek.
I don't know why today Salma Hayek. I'm going to assume it's a birthday.
No.
What I am going to say is that
just type in her name.
Bet that is never going to be something I say no to.
Yeah. Type in her name.
Never going to be something I say no to. Salma Hayek helped make me a man back in the day.
Have you seen Sports Illustrated's cover? Is that what you're looking at right now? Yes. And she's over 50.
I feel like I don't need to say the words. I feel like all of us who are around in the From Dusk Till Dawn era, when that movie dropped, I feel like we're all having the same thought right now. And so I don't need to vocalize it. Just know that right now.
She was in that.
Forgot she was in that scene of her dancing on the table, awoken something in Rob Brown that has not gone back to sleep. Okay? If you forgot about the Dusk Till Dawn scene with Salma Hayek, I assume that you got Will Smith neuralized, because that's the only way that scene's ever leaving my brain.
Because a bunch of special effects guys are in that movie, and it's pretty cool to see them turn into vampires and stuff. Listen, I pointed out Salma Hayek for a reason, and I had you look it up. So
I appreciate it.
I'm forgetting a lot of things as I get older. Sorry. All right, the next thing that's Xing. Let's go ahead and stay on those lines. Stephanie Vicora is
old Steph. She's trending because she's hot.
Oh no, you didn't see what she wore last night.
No, I did
on NXT.
She's trending because she's hot.
All right,
All
yeah.
right.
That's why she's Xing.
Stephanie Vicare last night.
By the way, I don't know if you knew this. She's a really good wrestler too.
She is a great wrestler. I absolutely will promote Stephanie Vicare as a wrestler first, because she is a spectacular wrestler, and I cannot. Stephanie Vicare v. Io Sky is going to be slapper when they get to it. That being said, she showed up last night with a shirt that was mesh in the front,
kind of a shirt,
and just it was sleeves with some mesh material between them, and we'll just say a red undergarment underneath. Good God!
And she's well aware that
she knows
people.
Dude, that facial expression that she makes when she knows it.
Yes, exactly. All right, the next thing that's Xing is Rory McIlroy. Let's go where some.
Here's a left-hand turn.
Yes.
Rory McIlroy is Xing because the PGA Championship starts this weekend at Quail Hollow, right up the road in Charlotte, North Carolina. I got to tell you, I'm going to try to find myself a Sunday ticket to Quail Hollow. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm working on it. Anyway, Rory McIlroy is a betting favorite, not just because he won the Masters, but because this course, which is all about hit it long, hit it straight, make your putts, things Rory did at the Masters. This is a tournament he can win. And the year Grand Slam. He's now got the career Grand Slam. The Masters evaded him for a very long time. He got that this year. The annual Grand Slam, which is to win all four majors, he's the only one that can do it right now. So this tournament's obviously big for that. Not going to happen, but I'm pulling for my guy, Rory.
You never know. And finally, the last thing that's Xing is Ironheart.
Ironheart, this is really interesting because, part of me is interested in this show. I kind of think they did Ironheart dirty.
Trailer dropped 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, that show comes out soon, right? In the next couple of weeks, it drops on Netflix or on Disney Plus. Having her show up in the last Black Panther movie, I don't think was the right decision. I understood why you did it. I understood with the whole Chadwick Boseman thing, you kind of had to fill a spot there, whatever. I think this show might rock. I think this show might be genuinely good.
I don't know. I'm a little concerned about it. I'm definitely going to watch it, but I'm a little concerned. I'm going to go watch the trailer right after the show.
I think it has the potential to have the same. I mean this, same
I think
impact.
It was done filming a year ago or so, and they just put off releasing it. That has me. I have reservations because
we'll see. Because obviously a lot has changed, but also we all kind of felt that same way about Iron Man 1, and it ended up changing the world. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, you got bad taste in radio. Come back tomorrow. We'll try again. Rashad Beard to talk Panthers, Lulu Kesson to talk Gamecocks, Hayden Asmar to talk NBA, Fight Club, and more on the Thursday edition of The Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later.
Rudy didn't put us over.
I don't know why I just responded to your DM instead of just saying it to you. Oh, because you're doing math. Yes, I do.
I don't know which DM you're talking because
The RC car game.
Looks pretty wild, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's Rocket League, but for people in bars, and I'm all in. I'm all in. All right, dudes and dudettes, you're all amazing. Brian, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. James, Joey B, William, Tiger Truther, Wesley, everybody I missed. Appreciate you guys being here. Y'all give us a reason to keep doing the stream, and we appreciate it. Have a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow for the busiest day of the week. Goodbye.